Enough depressing talk. Start now.
It's fine. It's fine. I just didn't want to cut you off and be like, "Hey, everyone, welcome to the stream." And we're live. Hey, everyone, welcome to the stream. I did it. I literally mockingly said, "I'm going to start the stream." And go, "Hey, welcome to the stream." And then as soon as I was done that sentence, I went, "Hey, everyone, welcome to the stream." I've become self-parody. Let me go ahead and hit Twitter up. This is just kind of the sitting and chatting, waiting for people to fill in. Oh no, I got logged out of Twitter. I gotta log back in. Elon, you piece of shit. So today is Piccolo Day, May 9th. And with me today is my pal Andos. Andos, how you doing?
Ladies and gentlemen of non-binary buds, it's me, it's AJP. Andos for short. And happy Piccolo Day to everyone in the chat. I am doing quite well on this very rainy Thursday afternoon.
It's about to rain here. Something's going on.
Oh. How about that?
The rainstorm of the century. I have no... Why did I even say that? There was nothing worth saying there. You had this beautiful intro. I'm like, it is also raining here.
You know what
Andos today? Sorry, what?
I was just gonna piggyback off of what you said. Anyway, go. Sorry. Okay. Continue.
No, go ahead. You go.
Oh, yeah. So I'm just happy right now. I'm in a good mood, honestly, because I'm finally getting out of retail hell.
Yes.
And working into hospital care. Like, not even hospital care, but like I'm working with a hospital. That's interesting.
My grandma worked with a hospital for, man, decades. I mean, it's tough work, but it's spiritually rewarding work. I'll say that. You feel a lot, like, even if you're just working in a cafeteria in a hospital, you feel like you're doing more with your life than working in retail, you know? Exactly. Oh shit, we actually got people joining in. I thought we'd have 0 views this entire stream.
Everyone, that's Andos effect.
We got Sam, Tamuki, and Vernalden. All the stars are here. All the stars.
All the stars are here.
So today, this is something, Andos, you wanted to do for quite a while. Ever since,
yes.
Oh, Puzzle Orca. Hey, everyone.
First time to chat. Hey, it's my girlfriend. Hi, babe. Okay. Welcome to the chat.
That's creepy. That's creepy, Andos. Don't just start pointing at random people in the chat and saying they're your girlfriend. Come on, man. That's disrespectful for our audience, and it's just weird.
I'm sorry.
I know.
About PDA. See, I'm super self-conscious, so I'm going to be apologizing.
Oh, dude, welcome to the club. I'm freaking autistic. I'll apologize for like shit that I didn't even do. People will talk about like the root, and I'll just be like, oh, I'm really sorry I did that, guys.
Hey, sorry about that.
The Battle of the Somme in World War I, and I'm just like, I'm sorry.
Hey guys, I'm sorry about that.
I'm sorry.
Will you forgive me?
History class was really brutal with me every day. Oh man. Yeah, so how are we sounding, people in the chat? Can you hear Andos? Can you hear myself? Or is everything coming in good? Oh, I have my soundtrack down. Hello, hey. Are we sounding good? I don't have a producer today. I'm producing myself. I'm producing produce. Not that I can't trust my producer normally. Normally Nico, my good friend Nico, I'd say she's my producer, but her thing is she always puts up very self-serving polls in the chat. So it'll be like, hey, start a poll, Nico. Should we continue playing this or should we play something else? And the poll will be, keep playing this, keep playing that. Tell Chris to play Minecraft now. And I'll be like, Nico, I don't want to play Minecraft. And she'll be like, too bad, Minecraft's winning. Okay, they say we both sound fine, so I guess we should just go ahead and play the game. Let me go ahead and stream it to you, Andos, real quick. We had some problems starting up Andos, before we start, where can people find your work? You are a video essayist / wrestling writer / cartoon reviewer / Street Fighter player / mashup editor. Where's the best place to find your stuff?
Don't. No, I'm kidding. Don't find me. I don't want to be found. What are you talking about? I want to be in my hole in the ground, just away from society.
Everyone dox Andos now!
No! No, but seriously, yeah, so I am on YouTube. I am Andos. If you want to find me much more simply, you can just look up Pokotan, and I'm probably the first video you find. That's my Pokotan video essay that ridiculously got way more views than it should have. I don't know how that happened. On Twitter, you can find me at AndosMan94. That's where I post really bad wrestling takes and muscled women appreciation. You can find me there. I also have a coffee at Andos on Coffee. For $3 a month, you can find videos early, a day early, as well as some essays that I write that if I don't have time to make into videos, I kind of just put there. So, yeah.
Okay, I'm just loading up right now. I wish you had an actual coffee. Like you were like secretly a coffee magnate that was worth billions. It's like, I have a coffee. It's Folgers. My dad is Derek Folger. He created coffee.
He created the coffee. Maybe you've heard of him.
My dad created coffee. Do you know who I am? My dad created coffee.
Don't you know? How dare you?
How dare you? How dare you invite me onto your video game podcast that's live? Okay, so like I said, this is something we wanted to do for a while in the editors Discord. Shout out to Sam, Sam the VA mod who couldn't be here today. Sam lives in jolly old England. So, man, NES games are friggin' loud. Sam lives in England, so he's probably asleep by now. And then Andos, let me go ahead and stream the game over to you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, good.
I need a producer. I watch different like friggin' streamers who have like live producers and stuff. I'm always so jealous. Like the idea that you could just sit back and play the game while someone else is worrying about everything else is so appealing to me. So this is Dragon Ball, the Dragon Mystery for the NES. Can you see it, Andos?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I believe this is a hack of a game called Dragon Mystery that was a Dragon Ball game. I don't know the history behind it. I'm sure there's a Did You Know gaming about it. All I know is this. It's great. It's a fabulous game. So we're gonna start off.
It was made by hacks.
It was made by hack. Well, you'll see. Let's go on a fun trip. That's the first line in the Dragon Ball manga. How to find them? With
Dragon.
Let's go. Fun.
What's going on with Bulma?
What?
Why are we punching cats?
As you can see, I'm in The Legend of Zelda. I'm fighting the Gorians. Goku's hair, I mean, it's just, normally you have to make it bright mirrored, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
With his face.
Ah! I know he's happy!
It's me, Goku!
Hi!
It's your friend!
Oh, it's a bat! Get out of here!
Make it!
He's like a Muppet! Oh my god, look at him from the side! He's got Pac-Man mouth. Nom 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 nom. Fralin said Bulma's speaking in tongues. Let's go on a fun trip. Find them with Dragon Radar. So I believe this is supposed to be the big bandit guy that Goku fights when he saves Master Roshi's turtle.
That's right.
I just gotta stay a few inches away from him. So Andos, when did you what age was Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z? I'm assuming you probably started with Z like the most of us, then worked backwards.
Yes.
When did you first get introduced into your life? When was your life first irrevocably changed by Dragon Ball?
Well, it started the day I was born. No.
My grandfather found me floating in a river. And he named me
screaming out of the womb, dragon, rock the dragon. So
the doctor tried to slap my bottom, and I caught his hand. And I hit him with a key blast.
Immediately went Super Saiyan.
I was in my pod trying to sleep when the baby next to my pod just kept screaming, and that's when I knew I would become the Super Saiyan Brawly.
That is the most insane backstory to a villain ever. Can we just talk about that real quick? Broly is evil because Goku couldn't stop screaming and crying.
He held on to a grudge since he was a baby.
That is the ultimate hater energy.
That is like if Conqueror Rao from frickin' Fist of North Star was a baby. Like, I will mark this day. I will have my revenge on you. Wait a minute. Aren't you that other baby? I recognize you because of your haircut. I'm realizing how insane that sounds when I say it out loud.
It's so
Did you
insane.
forget about me? Brawly, okay, the first Brawly movie. That's a story you come up in a weekend and you've been drinking. Where it's like, he needs a reason to hate Goku. He needs a reason to hate Goku. He was, they're childhood enemies. They didn't get along in childhood, and he's always held a grudge. Yeah, but Goku came to Earth when he was a baby. Fine, they were baby enemies. He held a grudge since he was a baby. Quit fooling.
Idiot.
This game is great.
This is a great game. Are you okay? Now defeat him quickly.
I'm going to. Oh no, it's the same guy.
Enemy.
Leave me alone.
So anyway, that was a weird tangent. So my history with Dragon Ball Z is kind of the same with my history with wrestling, where it was like I kind of came in at the tail end of Dragon Ball Z and kind of had it supplemented to me via the video games. I kind of got in at the end.
I hate how wrestling's over, by the way. I don't like how wrestling's like it ended and we haven't had any wrestling for a couple decades. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
I mean, if you look at the product.
Oh.
No, yeah.
CM Punk got really angry at that press conference, and we all agreed we're just gonna stop wrestling for a while.
Wrestling's just over.
We're just like, oh man, I don't want to do this anymore, and every wrestling company across the country just shuts down.
CM Punk ate a muffin. All right, we're done. Gotta close up shop.
Oh, he's breaking out the muffins. Damn! Tell the boys they ain't getting paid.
Nope, can't get paid.
Oh, and there's no lives in this game, by the way. You just die. You just game over.
Very nice.
So you came in the tail end.
Yeah, I came in the
Dragon
tail
Ball.
end of like
So around
the
Boo?
Yeah, the Boo saga.
Boo. Oh my god, I have to start all the way over. I'm loading up the save states. Keep talking.
This is very unhinged.
This is how all my streams go. Don't worry.
Very nice. So I finished. So Boo Saga, that pretty much finished. I was like, wow, this Dragon Ball stuff's really cool. So by the time of middle school, I hang out with a bunch of friends who are also getting into anime and manga. And dude, I had the coolest middle school teacher because she had like an entire section of the library full of manga and like different comic books and graphic novels. And we would have anime club every single week around like after school. And I would come home every single like weekend with Dragon Ball manga. And
awesome.
yeah, like I would bring him like 5 volumes for the weekend and just speed read them, and it's like, this is so cool. And like I said, I got into the video games, and the first game I would play was Dragon Ball Z Budokai. And funny story about that game. So, like I said, hadn't had any experience with Dragon Ball Z, like going into Dragon Ball Z Budokai, which is the first game I played. And I think I beat that entire game in like 2 days. And what I didn't know was that at the end of the Cell Game saga, Goku sacrifices himself for Z Fighters. And I was crying so hard, and my sister's like...
It's not even the show! Not even the show from the video game cutscene! That's awesome.
I was so depressed, and my sister's like, what's wrong? And it's like, Goku was so good! He sacrificed himself. My sister's like, oh, they're there.
It'll be fine. He'll be back one Christmas Day. You just have to find the magic hat.
Yeah, but then from that's how the Dragon Ball Z. That's how the Dragon Balls work. The dragon puts a hat on one of the dead bodies. Like, they're there.
Everyone, you have to clap, or Goku can't come back to life. Everyone in the audience, clap.
Guess you just didn't want it hard enough.
No one claps. Vegeta's the main character now. I love that Toriyama didn't like Vegeta. Like, I was reading old interviews with Toriyama, and he was just like, honestly, I wanted Vegeta to die, but he became like a fan favorite. And I honestly liked Piccolo more. But the editor said I had to keep Vegeta around.
How can you? I love Piccolo.
I love Vegeta too, but I don't know. There's something about, because Toriyama, I think more than any other artist in manga, was very brutal about his work, what his work meant to him, and his... Speaking of Toriyama, there he is! Hold up. Do you see him? The little guy with the spear? That's like how Toriyama draws himself, the little gas mask guy.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have to beat up Toriyama, he just died. I gotta kill him again? Damn it. But, like, Toriyama was very, like, brutally honest about, like, admitting stuff like, honestly, I don't remember writing the story for Brawly. Honestly, Launch isn't in the show anymore because I forgot I wrote her. Sorry. I don't really like this character, but the fans said he was the best, so I had to keep him. He was supposed to die.
A lot of the characters in the game, or in the series.
Yeah. Just like you a lot of manga I've learned is improvisational. It's like you don't really have a giant, massive plan going forward. You just kind of write as long as you can write. As long as you're still popular, you keep going. You don't start plotting the end until like the writing's on the wall that you're going down or you're gonna die of exhaustion. So, case in point, Oda doesn't know what the One Piece is. He admitted that freely in an interview recently. He's like, I gotta start like realizing what the hell this One Piece thing even is. Like, I keep saying the One Piece is real and blah blah. They've been looking for it for 20 years. And I don't know what it is. Want us to take you? You crazy? Fuck you, Bulma. I'm gonna hang out with this.
Wait for me.
But so yeah, so like Toriyama. I can't remember where I was going with this whole conversation. I'm so unprepared to be a streamer. Yeah, but I like that.
No idea what he was writing.
Yeah, so like, I could see like another writer being like, no, Vegeta has to die. The story doesn't make sense unless Vegeta dies. And for his editor to be like, hey, they really like this Vegeta guy. For him to be like, well, I guess he's sticking around.
Yeah. See, but that makes so much sense because when you look at the Cell games, it's clear he has no idea where the story's going.
Well, he wanted to end it after Frieza.
Yeah.
And they told him no. So he's like, okay, fine. Gohan's the main character now. Nah, we don't like Gohan as much as Goku. You gotta bring Goku back. Fine. Majin Buu, I'm done. And they're like, hey, we want to make another show. He's like, no, I'm not. And they make GT. And then like 20 years later, he's like, okay, I'm just going to undo all of GT because I obviously didn't watch it. Like people asked him like once, like who was his favorite One Piece character? He was like, I don't read One Piece. And they're like, but like your protege like made is like, yeah. Doesn't mean I have to read it. So yeah, like cause like they even asked him like when the Brawly sequel was coming, or the remake of Brawly, I should say, because it kind of rebooted the entire character. They asked him like, you know, how does this fit in with the original Brawly, or what do you think of the original Brawly? And he goes, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I don't remember making him. I know I did. People have shown me that I made him, but I think I just drew a picture and then everyone else wrote the story. You know, because the Dragon Ball movies, if you're listening to this and you don't know Dragon Ball 1, what are you doing here? Hi, I'm Senin, who helped me? This boy, Goku. Okay. Here is a nice reward. God, they talk so slow.
A magic cloud. Jump well to use.
Me too.
No, Bulma, not you.
Oh my God, they actually do it. Oh no.
Oh.
Great, we're TOS. We're TOS already. No! The more salacious elements of Dragon Ball fully replicated in stunning 8-bit. Including Bulma's ability to do the stanky leg. Strange, isn't it?
I know everything you're about to do. Strange, isn't it? Sorry, that was for Puzzle Dorka.
It just doesn't stop. A monster is near. Oolong.
He pervert. He steal. By a boy.
I thought this was translated. Like, if an English speaking person did translate this, I believe they probably just did a 1-to-1 translation and not like bothered to write it coherently. What the hell? Oh, it's Oolong, so he's gonna be shapeshifting.
Oh, okay.
Oh no.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Dragon Ball Z movies, the preferred way to watch them is with the butt rock, right?
I don't know. This is gonna
That's
be
nostalgia to me.
It's nostalgic to. So here's the thing. From a very young age, I was, what's the word I'm looking for? Pretentious. I've been pretentious about media consumption from a very young age. So my history of Dragon Ball is it came on first when I was in middle school. And I caught it from the very beginning, you know? Oh, there's this new cartoon. I remember watching the episode clearly in my mind. I was watching the episode where because I think I started watching right when Goku was on Snake Way. And I went back and I bought the, they had made like a tape, like an actual VHS tape that was like the first few episodes. So like when I saw the Goku on Snake Way, I was like, oh, I need to figure out how this guy died, because this is really interesting. So I had my mom buy me the Raditz tape that explained, you know, his fight with Raditz and Piccolo and all that stuff. So I have like a memory clear as day, like watching Goku fight Vegeta, and it's the episode where Vegeta first uses the ball to turn into his great ape form. And my uncle walking in, and my uncle just going, "Are you watching Speed Racer?" Because that's the only Japanese cartoon we knew back then, you know.
Same with my dad.
Yeah, just be like, "Oh, Speed! Your uncle, you little the Speed Racer know that Racer X is actually his long lost brother, Rex Racer." So I became obsessed with Dragon Ball, like, and I knew there was so much more because there were magazines in the store, like just at the grocery store where I lived. They would always have adverts for import toy companies, and they would always have like an advert for the Dragon Ball toys. And so you would see Majin Buu, you would see Cell, you would see the androids and all this stuff advertised in the back of this magazine when we're still on Vegeta. So I knew, oh wow, we are so far behind. Fast forward a little bit, and a game comes out for the PlayStation called Dragon Ball GT Final Bout, which was the Dragon Ball GT game that came out when Dragon Ball Z was still airing. And that game has Cell and Majin Buu in it. So I said, I'm gonna skip the damn line. So now I'm in high school. We're in like the Frieza saga. I freaking go to a comic book store and I pay a guy to tape record, copy tapes from Japan with subtitling and just give them to me for like $25 a tape.
Oh shit, tape trading.
I was tape trading Dragon Ball. I remember being the smuggest bastard by telling my friends that Bulma was going to get married and have a baby with Vegeta, and none of them believed me. They thought I was a smelly kid whose uncle worked at Nintendo. They were like, that's not true. That's not true. Like, no, Bulma and Vegeta hook up and they have trunks. Remember, you know that purple-haired kid you see in like the box of video games and shit? That's Vegeta and Bulma's kid. I'm like, no.
That's crazy.
Frieza's gonna kill Vegeta. That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works, Chris. You're a liar. So I actually have a lot more reverence for, you know, the Japanese original score and the bump, you know, the bombacity of it and the pretty much, you know, the orchestral score of it than I do the butt rock. Because the moment like I heard like ha la, cha la, you know, and like We Are Fighters and stuff like that, but also just like the classic kind of, you know, how Japanese has like that, how Japanese anime, especially from this time period, has that great like kind of like moving orchestral score to everything, you know. I kind of more majorly have a reverence in that than like, let's say, you know, Rock the Dragon or anything like that. So I'm like the one guy out where I was subs instead of dubs from a very young age.
Right. It's interesting that you mentioned that because I remember when Dragon Ball Z Uncut came out and they would put like the uncut episodes with like the footage that they removed from the original run on the DVD or like on the, I think they put it on not Toonami, but like late night Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because like I remember listening to it and they had, like you said, the original orchestral. And I think that's how I remember Dragon Ball Z the most, is with that, as opposed to like the kind of background music that they would have, like the generic rock.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I remember, see, I'm also going to reveal my age too. I got the VHS tape to Cooler's Revenge. And like, nothing is going to be more nostalgic to me than it opening with but Drowning Pools Reminded. It gets me hyped all the time. Like, I have a nostalgia for that.
Yeah.
But I totally, like, love the orchestral and had reverence for the orchestral for Dragon Ball. For Dragon Ball Z.
I think I had to find Oolong out of one of these girls and kill him before he can leave the screen, and it's really hard. I'm already dead. We're gonna try one more again, and then we're gonna move on to the next game. But no, I totally get that. Like, when you're watching stuff like Dragon Ball, you're mostly just trying to recapture that feeling of being a kid. And because here's the thing. You're what? You're 30? Or
I'm going to be 30, yes.
You're going to be 30. Because I think I'm a full year older. Not year, 10 years. I'm a full 10 years older than you. Because I saw like your screen name was like Andos Man 94. And I'm like, I was born in 84. So like I'm a full decade older than you. In fact, it's so funny because I really embarrassed myself recently at a store. I was buying some anime figures, and the guy behind the counter started talking about, Toriyama passing away. And I said, man, it just sucks, because for guys our age, he was a big deal. And then I realized, Chris, the kid you're talking to is 20. And I was like, okay, I just realized, dude, I'm 2 full decades older than you. I meant guys in our age range, in our spectrum of age. People younger than 50, he meant a lot. So, like...
But no, like, here's the thing, though. Like, we're a generation apart, but, like, that influence that Toriyama had still was really felt in the different media that even I consumed. Because, like, you can look at Naruto, you can look at One Piece, because, like, that's the shonen I grew up on. And you can definitely feel Toriyama's influence in those anime.
I mean, with One Piece, Oda has said, like, he started off as, like, a Toriyama fanboy. Like
all of them did,
there's a very famous interview where someone asks, like, what does Toriyama mean to you? And Oda says, oh, he's God. Like, that was just his response. Like, he's God. None of this would exist without him. So, like, it's funny when you see people fight, because Dragon Ball was cool, right?
Yeah.
And then Dragon Ball got too cool. Because suddenly other anime started coming to America, which was because of Dragon Ball. And some people point out, well, Sailor Moon came out first, but Sailor Moon, as big as a hit as it was not the monster fucking hit that Dragon Ball was.
No,
Dragon Ball Z shifted the fucking culture.
It did, honestly.
Because Dragon Ball became cool, suddenly, all these other anime start getting imported. And suddenly for Westerners, it becomes cool to hate Dragon Ball. And you get these people who are like, anime can be so much more than just, There's that derisive argument that every Dragon Ball ends the same, where everyone dies until Goku shows up and saves the day. Like, that's every episode. Every arc is just everyone dies until Goku shows up and saves the day. All it is people screaming. You should watch Escaflowne. There's actual poetry in this. People die in Trigun and they stay dead.
But no, that was so real, because, like, I remember, like, picking Dragon Ball Z manga from my library, and, like, I'd have people look at me being like, you still read Dragon Ball? Why don't you go read One Piece?
That's the whole thing. So, like, I remember I used to work at a GameStop back when I was in retail hell. And I remember people shitting on Dragon Ball and talk about how Naruto is so much better. And I just had to be like, you do realize the person who writes Naruto regards Toriyama as a god, right? Like, anime fans can be so tribalistic. Like, even recently, someone was talking shit about, like, what's better, like Dragon Ball or the works of Rumiko Takahashi, or, my OP wouldn't dare act like this. And it was all these people who are shit-talking on other anime to prop up Oda from One Piece up. And then this one guy in the comments was a fucking hero. Because every time someone shit-talked another anime to, like, build up One Piece, he would find an interview with Oda talking about how much that person influenced him. It's like someone's like, Rumiko Takahashi, she just made the same show 5 times. Her stuff is shit. And then, like, you just find Oda being like, I really find that my sense of humor was really fueled by Rumiko Takahashi's Yurusei Yatsuru and Inuyasha. Dragon Ball's just a bunch of people screaming. It doesn't have the depth of lore of One Piece. I really consider Toriyama akin to a god. Like, these mangaka, a lot of them are friends. Because, they all work for the same company. They all have, like, the same, like, editors. Like, it's funny because, like, I'm doing a deep dive on Kinnikuman right now. And there's a character who's very famously based on Toriyama's editor in Dr. Slump. Who's like the evil version of Dr. Slump. He's Dr. Slump's arch enemy. And he's this really crooked scientist who makes evil robots that are always trying to, like, kill Arale. That character you know, like I said, is based on one of Toriyama's editors. Well, then in an episode of Kinnikuman, a monster destroys the Shonen building, the Shonen Jump building, and that editor is in Kinnikuman as well. And like the English translator left a note. It was like, this is the same editor that Toriyama made fun of. So it's funny to be like, you know, this same guy who both Toriyama and Yuta Tamaga knew getting killed by monsters in both different comics. Because that was kind of their way of sticking it to their boss. Was like, we're gonna have a giant monster show up and kill you. So like, these people are all friends. They don't have like this hyper like, what you're reading is for babies. This is the real deal. You know?
Exactly,
no,
yeah.
they all realize that anime and manga is a fucking buffet. You don't have to pick one.
Sorry to make this about wrestling, but I remember that there was a tweet where someone was trying to dunk on WWE women's wrestling, being like, this is nothing like the All Japan women's of the 90s. And then like you hear Becky Lynch talking about how much that generation was so inspirational to her.
Yeah.
And it's like, we all just love the same shit.
Yeah, we gotta use women to drag down other women. That's
Exactly.
what it really is. You see it a lot with women in any medium, whether it's music, fashion, wrestling, anime, no matter what, people always have to pit women against each other, and it's so weird.
It is.
It's just, it's
Don't
so.
get it.
I think it. I'm not a psychologist, so I can't like put on my Dr. Jordan Peterson voice and be like, the demons make us do it. No, I'm not a psychologist, so I can't like give the exact answer, but I mean, it has to do with like kind of the misogynistic like ownership of women. Like this idea of like women stop being people and they start being a fucking brand, kind of. And that happens a little bit with like men in like pro wrestling and stuff, you know, especially. But it just happens with women in all walks of life. Just this idea of like, you know, we can't just have appreciation for both. You know, we have to like say, oh, are you more of a Megan Thee Stallion or are you more of a, you know, Nicki Minaj? Well, blah, blah. I find that recently there's this huge problem online. And it's in the real world too. But you see it mostly online where people are more free to just say whatever they want and just not have any repercussions. Where if you hate the thing I like, that means you hate me and I want you to die. You know, people have become so tribalistic when it comes to media that you get shit like that. Like, especially in the wrestling world. Like, oh, the WWE women, they can't hold a candle to 1980s All Japan. You know, and then you're like, well, I don't know. I actually think that, you know, Asuka is probably one of the best wrestlers on the roster. Oh, your fucking opinion is so uninformed. Why don't you fuck off? Like, small disagreements. What are you, fucking neckbeard? You AEW incel neckbeard? I don't know. Sorry. Talking about wrestling does things to me. It's a very unhealthy environment. It's one that I'm looking to distance myself more and more away from.
I don't
Hey,
blame
it's
you at all.
Poir! I'm throwing bombs at you, you dumb shit!
How does Poir hate you?
I mean, this is before I fought Yamcha, so this would be Poir trying to freaking
I
kill
was
me.
actually following the canon. Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, we oh, there he is! Oh no. Oh god. This is... Uh-oh, we're getting some of that classic NES slowdown. Looks like a keyhole somewhere. They're doing like story back and forth, you know, like when you're in creative writing class, like someone starts a sentence and the other person next to you has to finish it. It's like they're doing an improv game. They're zip zap zopping each other. Sorry, I get distracted easily, and as you can tell, this game is a lot. There's a lot on screen happening.
There is a lot happening right now.
I don't care anymore. Oh look, I got a key. Now I can... Sorry, but yeah, anime and wrestling are both very tribalistic over... People sign like these blood pacts. And you know what? To bring it back to wrestling, people need to realize these wrestlers are all friends.
Exactly, yeah.
We recently
Like, they just don't get it.
sorry, what were you saying?
They just don't get it because like it's a weird thing where people are so tribalistic, being like, "Huh, well, you know, Kenny Omega's better than this wrestler or better than that wrestler," and it's like you do realize that they probably follow each other, and Kenny Omega has said nothing but good things about WWE wrestlers. No, he's better. Wrestling in AEW is better.
But like, I mean, so recently, Mansoor and Masay, or the Great Black Otaku, they had a stream where they were help fundraise money for soft ground wrestling in Uganda.
Yes, I saw that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look at all the people on that. Like, you have Xavier Woods from the WWE, you have Swerve from AEW. Like, these people all know each other and appreciate each other's work, and now know how hard it is. It's one thing to be like tribalistic over like how WWE puts together matches, or the corporate culture of WWE versus the corporate culture of AEW. There are concrete differences between there. But when you start saying like, oh, this guy's better, he can lace so-and-so's boots and stuff like that, it's like, I'm sorry. Like, I remember back in PWG where Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were wrestling Young Bucks or Kenny Omega or Pac like every friggin' month. You know, these people all work the same roads. They all work the same shows. And it's like that in manga. Like, the guy who made Naruto loves Dragon Ball. You can find artwork that he drew as a young kid, you know, and Oda loved Dragon Ball. You can find his old Dragon Ball artwork that he did when he was a kid. And like, in going back to Kinnikuman, which I'm Kinnikuman pilled right now just because I've been working on this video for so long. Sorry. Pineapple Jane was saying lots of shit coming your way. Jane, what is everything going on? Are we still on? Hello?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. No, I'm making sure because she just said lots of shit coming your way. Oh. Okay, just making sure that wasn't in like response to like us like dropping frames or something like that. Anyway, but so like Yuta Tamago, the makers of Kinnikuman, would do this thing where kids would create a character and send them into Shonen Jump, and that character would show up in a issue. A very young Oda created a character called Panda Man, and that character shows up in Kinnikuman. And since then, Oda hides Panda Man in like every volume of One Piece. Oda hides Panda Man in the background as kind of like harkening back to the days that like Yuta Tamaga put one of his characters in their manga and stuff like that. So like all these, like Japan's a very small island. All these people know each other. All these people work together. They're not asking you to hold up a battle standard and fight to the death over the superiority of one manga or another. So I just, that's just my thoughts on it. So like, let me bring up the next game, then I'm going to ask you the question. And this is going to be the question that starts the debate.
Let's go.
So let me get the next game going. Chala, chala. I need GBA. And then GBA, come on, please work. Okay, are you gonna... Dragon Ball Advanced Adventure. Please just show up. Don't make me... There we go. Showing up. Awesome. People in the chat, let me know if this is too loud. Hopefully it's not blazing through your eardrums right now. You should be seeing Dragon Ball Adventure, and I just got to share it to Andos real quick. Okay, Andos, do you see Dragon Ball Adventure? Advanced Adventure.
I do.
Okay. Who's the best Dragon Ball villain?
Actually, I will get back to you. I have a call on the other line. 1 second.
Okay. He's talking to his lawyers to make sure he doesn't say something he regrets. You can't say Frieza. He'll eat you alive. It's a trap. I'll wait for Andos to get back.
Guys, what one is your favorite? Guys, what one is your favorite?
So people in the chat, how you doing today? How's your day going? We're just gonna chat.
All right, I'm back.
Hey, so as I was saying, Andos.
Guys,
Yeah.
what one is your favorite?
I mean, it's hard to say it's not Frieza.
Ha! His lawyer talked him out of it.
Huggy Wuggy. We have Creepy Green.
You know what? That's mine is creepy green as well.
What?
Sorry.
Pillar Bone. And we have Evil Boxy Boo.
I have no idea what's happening right now.
Oh, it's just the guys. Which one is your favorite kid? So, okay, it's not Frieza. Who is it? Okay, so, I mean, let's just focus on Z for now, because we can go back and talk about the original Dragon Ball later. But like, I guess the toss-up between the main guys. So, I guess that would make Vegeta, Cell, and Boo. Like, which one's your guy? Who do you rock?
See, I think Cell is a really interesting villain because, like, it's not just that they're fighting this android, this weird, creepy bug thing, but it's kind of like an amalgamation of all the evil that they had faced previously. Where it's like you have a little bit of Frieza, you have a little bit of Vegeta, you have a little bit of all these different characters with also, like, the powers of, you know, Goku and all the other Z fighters. And I think, like, having all that evil and, like, experience in the form of a villain, I think is really fascinating. Plus, like, the forms of Cell are really cool. Like, I think this is probably a hot take. I think the first form of Cell should have been the one they went with.
You think you like him more of the big cricket?
The cricket, yeah, cricket's awesome.
I love Perfect Cell. I think he looks really cool. But like, if you told me to pick my favorite version of Cell, I do like the cricket version. Because he's genuinely creepy looking, especially just him kind of skittering around like a bug. And I think Cell is such an interesting idea because you're right. No one had done a villain like that, at least for my money, in cartoons before. Where it's like, oh hey, I'm everything put together. Maybe the mystical sense, like all of our spirit power combined. But the fact is like, no, this dude who you fought as a child held a grudge against you for so long that he's been spying on you your entire life and gathering the DNA of everyone you ever fought just so he can make a big cricket that'll kill you. And the whole idea that like Dr. Gero also is like, hey, there's a good chance these androids I'm gonna make are gonna betray me. I should make it so he kills them too by absorbing them. You know, he kind of had all these crazy contingency plans, which I think kind of again goes back to Toriyama's more like make shit up in the moment kind of thing. Right. Like he needed a way that Cell would need to kill the androids to progress the story. But yeah, like so like Frieza's whole forms thing is like, oh, I'm angry, I'm gonna second form. Oh, I'm angrier still, third form. Time for my fourth form, my real form. Oh, well, here's my fourth form, but a little bigger. Whereas Cell, Cell actually has to go through a process, and it's this whole thing of like, can we stop him before he reaches his true form? Which I think is a really
there's extra sense of like tension to that too, where it's drama, where it's like we can't let him get this android. We can't do it. We have to kill these things before Cell finds them.
Yeah,
that makes it even more
one's
scary.
Hot.
Oh, that's hot.
One of them's hot. I can't do it, guys. Why do we invite the bald incel on our team? No. But I think Cell's the better story. Out of all the Dragon Ball stories, I would probably say Cell's the best because it really having a villain that's hiding is cool. The only like if I could compare this to other manga, I'd say it's kind of like Kira in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4. In that we don't know what this guy looks like. We don't know where he is. We just see the ramifications of what he's doing. Like, Frieza shows up, and Frieza's like, hey, Namek, I'm gonna kill everyone on this damn planet unless you give me my Dragon Balls. You know, Vegeta shows up, and him and Nappa blow up the fucking military. Every villain shows up and makes like a grand declaration. Cell's grand declaration of I'm here, I'm gonna rule the world doesn't happen until he's reached his final form. He announces the Cell games. Before then, it's kind of like, and it happens mid-arc of a different story. Like, he's probably the best hidden villain. Second best hidden villain. There's the greatest hidden villain I'll talk about maybe later. But like, you know, because like they're fighting the androids, and the androids are the pressing issue. And then one day Piccolo's like, hey, something's going on in this town. Everyone's dead in this entire city. What's going on, guys? And it's like, surprise, the androids aren't the real threat. It's this big cricket. Big cricket's here now.
The way they introduce him too is so terrifying. Where he just sucks that guy dry.
I think you were reading a Dojin. I need juice to live. Oh my god.
Pierce him with his tail, yes.
We also know Cell is the pervert's choice. Cell is the pervert's choice of villains because there's a lot of people who interpret the whole eating people with his tail a different way on the internet. He's big in the Vor community. So Cell's definitely the better story, but for me, ever since I was a kid, Majin Buu is my favorite. I have so many Majin Buu figures. I have a little Buu shrine in my room. Whenever there's a new Majin Buu figure, I make sure to grab it. So I'd say if I had to rank them, Buu's my favorite, just because it's such a weird story. It also kind of harkens back to Toriyama trying to get back in his comedy roots by making like a laughable villain. Buu's my favorite, but Cell would definitely be a close second. Frieza's last. I think the Frieza saga kind of drags at points. And also kind of diminishing returns because of how many times they bring Frieza back. That's not to say that Frieza's not like one of the greatest villains in anime history.
Definitely,
it's just when compared to Frieza, when compared to Cell, and how interesting that Cell story is. Because with Frieza, you could kind of point to hit like Piccolo Daimyo, you know, Evil King Piccolo and stuff like that, as like that's the type of villain he is. He's like, I'm showing up, I'm demanding all this shit, I'm gonna make the Dragon Balls, give me the wish for eternal life, and I'm gonna beat everyone, you know? Like Cell had done that, not Cell, I'm tripping over my words, sorry. Vegeta had done that, you know, Vegeta shows up, kills all the military, brings the Dragon Balls. Frieza shows up, he kills all the Namekians, give me the Dragon Balls, you know? Like, Cell doesn't even want the Dragon Balls. Cell is just like, no, I want to kill Goku and become perfect to prove, you know? And it's like this whole thing of like, no, I'm killing Goku because some old man made me to kill Goku and that's all I know. That's my only motivation because I was literally built 30 years ago to kill a child. And I'm, goddamn it, I'm gonna do it. You know? So, yeah, I love Cell's story and it's such an interesting way. It's such an interesting way to do a story. So yeah, I'm right there.
I think that goes back into like the whole DNA idea where they took like cells of the different characters and one of them it's Goku and like Goku's like, no, I don't want anything other than just fight the strongest. And like you kind of see that in Cell. Yeah.
Like he has that determination. Well, so like Toriyama, I believe in an interview once said that he feels like people get the wrong idea of Goku's motivation. Where people try and make Goku a lot more heroic than he is. And he says, especially like in the movies, anything that he didn't write, Goku's motivation is like, I have to protect the weak. And that's not what Goku's about. Goku is about, I want to fight the strongest. He is motivated by, he will risk the lives of his friends. He will risk the life of the world just to have a fight with the strongest opponent possible to prove that he's stronger. Or to find out who's strong.
With the dub? Like they tried to make him a Superman type?
Yes. Where he's not. I'm sorry, Goku's a very selfish hero. If you want a selfless hero, you're looking for Luffy. Luffy who hears like, this nation has slavery. And he's like, no, not anymore, it does. Where Goku, I'm sorry, Goku he's like him. Like there's the trope of like Goku abandons his family. That's true. Motherfucker does that. Goku does abandon his family to focus on training because that's what's important to him. He only knows to fight, and he loves it. And they kind of explain that with genetics, like oh that's just how the Saiyans are. The Saiyans just love to fight. They also in Super they explain with genetics that Saiyans are attracted to very forceful, domineering women, and I think that's like the funniest thing any of the Dragon Ball series has ever done. Because there's a moment where like Goku's complaining like, oh man, Chi-Chi's such a ball buster, he doesn't say that of course, but he's like, Chi-Chi's always like get on my case and yelling me to do stuff. And Vegeta's like, yeah, Bulma's the same way, but that's just how us Saiyans are. We're attracted to physically domineering and demanding women. That's just like what we're predispositioned to. And you just see Piccolo and shock just goes over Piccolo's face and he's like, it makes sense. Like suddenly the reason why Vegeta and Bulma are together and why Chi-Chi and Goku are together, like perfectly fit together. It's like, oh, okay, all Saiyan women are like that. So that's why Vegeta's like, I'm gonna marry this woman who just screams at me all day. Low key, Vegeta's down with it, and I love that.
So funny.
But yeah,
I love that.
Goku is just I want to be strong. He's a martial artist.
Yeah.
He's not Superman. He's not the defender of the truth or the innocent. He cares about martial arts, and he wants to make sure he's the strongest martial artist. And I kind of respect that like Toriyama will let other characters in the canon have purer motivations. Mm-hmm. Whereas Goku, no. And like, I like that Toriyama also complained about that. He was like, I really think in the anime adaptation and the movies, they make Goku try to seem too heroic. That's not the kind of character I wrote. Mm-hmm. He's kind of an idiot. Like, straight up Goku doesn't know how to read.
Yeah. That's what I find kind of interesting about characters like Denji from Chainsaw Man, because like his motivations are very simple. He's not like a traditional like shonen hero. It's about I want the simple life. I want, toast with jam on it. I want to touch a boob. And like that, the character development throughout the series where he realizes, no, there's more to life than like just desires. There's relationships, there's friends, there's, so much. And I think that's kind of interesting coming from like what you said about Goku, is that like he has very simple interests and motivations.
Goku is laser focused, whereas Denji, I mean, that's the story of a poor person, like in a very realistic. Goku lives in the woods. Goku lives in the woods and he eats whatever he catches. He's afforded like that simple mindset. Goku's never had to live in like the world of poverty without superpowers. Goku has been super strong since a baby, so it makes sense for him to like a Herculean kind of like motivation for a character, Whereas Denji, that's the story from what I've seen of Chainsaw Man. That's the story of someone who grew up in absolute poverty, and like, yeah, you're right, his motivations are, I just want freaking jam on my toast, I want to touch a boob, I want whatever. And it's only after he realized there's just more that he's missed in life that his horizons broaden. So I think that's the kind of difference between writing those characters, where Dragon Ball is a very like mythic setting, whereas Chainsaw Man is so grounded in reality, for a show where monsters, turn the swords and fight each other. But I like looking at the motivations of all these different characters in manga, because I feel like, I don't know, you don't really get that in Western writing, if that makes any sense. I hope I'm not. I'm sure there's gonna be comic book nerds who'll jump down my throat and talk about, Spider-Man and how when Uncle Ben died it did this. But I feel like there's because they're constantly fighting world-ending scenarios in Western comic books, there's always a world-destroying thing. We rarely get like these simple kind of laser-focused like motivations for characters, where we can just kind of sit down and say, what makes this guy get up out of bed in the morning to do what he does? You know, because when Thanos is going to show up every other week, or Doctor Doom's building some device, or Galactus is going to destroy the entire universe, a lot of those small character moments kind of escape. Then the fact that American comic books never end. They're going on for year after year after year. You know, Batman's older than you and I by 40, 50 years, and Batman's going to continue on years after we're dead. There will never be an end to Batman. And it changes hands with so many people. Whereas with manga, it's normally one or two people doing it. You know, it's normally either a guy's an artist and a writer, or there's a writer with his artist. Mm-hmm. And because of that, they could focus on the smaller moments of a character, where it's before the life-ending event kind of happens. Which is why I think a lot of people like Dragon Ball more than Z, is because Goku's not saving the world until King Piccolo shows up. Mm-hmm. With Goku, you know, you kind of get to know him more as a character as a little boy, and seeing him train with Master Roshi and do all these little adventures and stuff. And there's these little great, like, little character building tiny moments with these characters where it's still kind of gag anime that's slowly becoming a martial arts anime, if that makes any sense. You know, it's still some of his Toriyama's joke telling sensibilities from Dr. Slump have carried over, the perverted stuff, of course. But it really helps characterize and makes us understand these characters' motivations and who they are. And you get that with a lot of modern anime too. Whereas with Western comics, it's like, other than Spider-Man, most characters I can't really tell you like their concrete, like what makes them a unique person. I can tell you their powers. I can tell you how they got their powers. I can tell you their backstory. But I don't know. Maybe it's just because I don't find them as interesting. And also, there's a lot of stuff in Western comics that's contradictory. You know, one writer will write a character this way, only for another writer to come in and cancel it out and say, no, that was a dream. The devil made that happen. The devil made that didn't happen. They were a scroll the whole time. You know, and you could you could have just stuff hand waved away forever. Whereas it's funny in manga, especially Dragon Ball, with a lot of manga, death is not like the end. You know, characters can come back from the dead, and they often do. But what actually happened, who said what and who did what, is concrete. You'll never get the cowardly, that didn't really happen, or they were mind controlled kind of thing as you do in Western comics, you know? Like,
right.
The fact they undid Peter Parker's marriage still sits wrong with me.
You're not alone.
It's a lot of people hate that. And it's like, I sometimes just wish Western comics could just end. Like, characters don't grow old. They don't die of old age, you know, whatever.
Right.
Sorry, I went on a whole rant there. I apologize.
I'm just enjoying the gameplay.
This is a very lovely game.
Yeah.
It's a very lovely looking. I think we're gonna see later why people don't talk about it this much. But at least for this part, it's like, man, I can't believe people don't like rave over how great this game looked. You know, for the time. This was a Game Boy Advance game, and the
great. I love the sprite art. I guess
if you hear me cough, I have a thing that mutes it for the stream, but you'll still hear it. Sorry.
You know, I can still remember, this is kind of related to Dragon Ball, is that I can remember back in, like, I want to say 2003 or 2005, the first time I saw a Shonen Jump issue at my supermarket. And it was like at the end of the Cell Saga in the manga. And there was an advertisement for the first time Dragon Ball Z Uncut was coming out. And it was like a VHS. And if you signed in and like you gave $30 or something, you got that and the Goku figure. Me thinking that like it was the entire series, but in reality it was like 3 episodes.
Anime used to be expensive. You would pay $50 for a VHS with 4 episodes. Like, US Manga Corps and stuff like that were price gougers. It was horrible. And I get they were a niche market And that's the
Reminisce,
kind
yeah.
of, I have to embarrass Yamcha real quick, as the series normally does. Yamcha's probably the king of the scrubs, right? Like, of all the characters in anime, the patron saint of scrubby dudes who get their fucking ass handed to them has to be Yamcha.
To be, yeah. Trying to think who else. Who else is the great jobber of anime?
Oh man, what's the name of Barry Horowitz. He's the Barry Horowitz.
The Brooklyn Brawler.
He's the Brooklyn Brawler.
Brawler of anime.
Hey, remember when Brooklyn Brawler became Abe Knuckleball Schwartz? Yamcha also played baseball, so there's a connection.
Oh my god. That's a Photoshop waiting to happen.
Oh man. Sometimes I feel like I will never understand anime until I get into baseball. Like, I feel like that's a puzzle piece that I'm missing in life. Is going back and reading Kinnikuman and how obsessed Yuta Tamaga are with baseball at the time, when baseball was really popping off in the 1980s in Japan. I feel like until I understand that, a lot of this shit goes over my head. I love watching gag anime from the 80s. So like your Yurusei Yatsuru and your Kinnikuman and stuff. And when there's a reference that the translator just doesn't know and they give up, it's always hilarious to me. Like, there's this one Yurusei Yatsura episode where Lum and Moriboshi and Mendo, they're all at the beach, and Lum says something, and the characters turn to the screen, and they all have giant ears and like the face of an old man, and they'll go, hmm? And the translator note says, I have tried for weeks to understand what this is a reference to, and I give up. It's like it's obviously referencing like a commercial or something, but the translator just threw his hands up and like, no, I can't do it. I don't know why all these attractive young teenage boys turn into old men for the split second and make a weird noise. I can't do it. So yeah, I love that shit.
Yeah, speaking of which, by the way, Rumiko Takahashi, I would argue probably just as inspirational as Akira Toriyama.
She is a giantess in anime. I mean,
I love her so much.
Not so much in America. I think we look at Toriyama as being godlike as Americans because of how much the money machine got behind Dragon Ball.
Right, I mean, like Dragon Ball came first too.
Yeah, just how much merchandise this show put out. But in Japan, man, a lot of people consider her the GOAT. Because, I mean, Yurusei Yatsura, Ranma 1/2, Inuyasha, those were 3 giant fucking books. And, you know, like, yeah, if you go back and read the old Yurusei Yatsuras or watch the anime, it's still freaking hilarious. And I haven't watched the reboot yet.
That I have is Yurusei Yatsura. I think that's the one blind spot I have in Rumiko Takahashi is the bibliography or series, I should say.
If like, when you get the chance, it's definitely worth going back.
I'm a huge fan of Ranma 1/2. Me and my sister loved Inuyasha. I have a funny story to tell you about that, but I'll let you finish.
Okay, no, you go ahead.
So in my household, my sister was the biggest Inuyasha fan. Like, she would go read fan fiction. She would look up like manga translations.
Yeah.
And it was on late at night when like the Adult Swim, and we had to share one VCR that we could like tape things on it when it was late at night and we couldn't watch it. Unbeknownst to her, Dragon Ball Z was on like an hour earlier, and they were like bringing in the old episodes too, where it was like they're on the Frieza saga, and it was Goku versus Frieza. And me and my sister would have like these wars trying to fight over the VCR, where it's like, I would tell my sister like, This is like the 5th episode of the will they won't they relationship. Meanwhile, Namek's gonna explode in 5 minutes. You have to have your priorities straight.
I wish my friend Graham was here right now, because whenever someone mentions Dragon Ball, or we used to play D&D a lot. We still play D&D every now and then. But whenever I'd say next time, Graham would just get real quiet and they go, Planet Namek becomes a hot potato next time on Dragon Ball Z. What is it, the old Mega 64? In 5 minutes, this planet's totally donezo. In 2 minutes, this planet is over. So yeah, no, yeah, you're right. I definitely could see having that argument myself, except I was the kid that liked both.
And
I was also
fair,
probably
I
a
like
teenager.
Inuyasha too. Like, I'm also a huge Inuyasha fan.
Yeah. The one anime I adored, and it was the first anime I think I loved that wasn't Dragon Ball. I am terrified, like breaking out into cold sweats about going back and rewatching again, because I know I'm gonna hate it. And I want the memories to be good. And I don't want the confirmation of like, no, Chris, you've changed as a person. You're gonna fucking hate this garbage. And that's Tenchi Muyo. I'm terrified of going back and watching Tenchi Muyo because it's just a harem anime.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just a friggin' harem anime. And I know I'm gonna watch it, but I'm like, wow, this is really vapid. Sorry,
Yeah,
what'd
but
you
the girls are so cool. Like, I love Ryuko.
Ryoko is cool. Washu is cool. I'm gonna leave it at that. I can't remember. I had someone on my show once, and I mentioned them about Tenchi Muyo, and they said they also like Tenchi Muyo, and I was like, which one was your favorite? And they're like, Ryoko, of course. And I was like, okay, you get to live. Like, that's the correct. Anyone says Ayaka, get out of my chat.
Go, leave. You are banned.
She's so annoying. She's a spoiled brat. I don't care if her parents didn't give her enough attention. Boo-hoo. Ryoko is literally a demon, and she can phase through walls. I just fell to my death again. Like 14-year-old Chris just comes ripping out of my 40-year-old body. Get out of here. Oh man. So yeah, but I like I said, I think until it comes time where I have to write something about. My fear is, what if the Kinnikuman video I've been working on does become a hit? It won't. But what if it does? And suddenly there's the expectation of me to write more about anime. Well, it's like, okay, Fist of the North Star, my second favorite classic old anime. I could write page after page about how much I love that. But it's like, eventually, Chris, you're gonna have to talk about Tenchi Muyo. And I'm like, no, don't make me go back. I'm married. I escaped the trap of needing harem anime.
No, I'm married now.
I have a wife. I don't need this anymore. Oh man, I grew up and left Neverland. I don't need harem anime anymore. I always point to friggin' Steven Universe as Tenchi Muyo, but not horny. It's like, what if all the women from Tenchi Muyo just wanted to be his mom? That's Steven Universe.
That's the safe bet.
Yeah. Oh, my power pole got bigger. That's cool.
Okay.
Okay, so if not Goku, who is your favorite protagonist in Dragon Ball?
Dude, Piccolo all day, every day. I
Piccolo.
fucking love Piccolo. In fact,
Gohan's
probably my
real
favorite
father.
fight. Gohan's real father.
Yeah.
No, I love Piccolo. Even in the movies, it was so funny because like they would have this formula where it was like Goku and his friends would get his ass beat by like the henchmen. It was always the same 3 archetype of henchmen. No, Piccolo would just roll up and wreck their shit, and it was always the best.
It was. Like they'd beat up Yamcha, they'd beat up Krillin, and then be like, oh, we're doomed, where's Goku? And then Piccolo would show up and be like, oh, what about me? And he just whooped their ass. And then they'd beat Piccolo, and then Goku would show up and save the day.
Yeah.
I remember once getting in an
which one are
argument
you?
though. I remember once getting in an argument with the Naruto kids at my work when they were saying that Dragon Ball sucks. It's like, why do you hate Dragon Ball? And they're like, because it's the same thing every time. They all get beat up and then Goku comes and saves the day. I'm like, wrong. Goku only does that with Frieza. Excuse me. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, okay. Goku versus Vegeta, right? Goku gets his ass handed to him when Vegeta becomes a great ape form. Who saves the day? Yajirobe. Goku does beat Frieza, I'll grant you that. Cell? It's Gohan. Gohan beats Cell. Goku doesn't beat Cell, Gohan does. Majin Buu? Technically, I'm giving that win to Mr. Satan. Damn it. I mean, the Spirit Bomb wouldn't have worked. It was kind of a team effort, but if Mr. Satan didn't tell everyone to please give Goku their energy, then Majin Buu wouldn't have been defeated, which means Mr. Satan technically beat Majin Buu twice. Because the first time he beats Majin Buu is when he says, hey, Majin Buu, or Lord Buu, why do you kill people? And he's like, because it's fun. He's like, you think maybe you could stop doing that? And Majin Buu's like, okay. They should have ended the anime there. That should have just been the end. It's just like, oh, and then Majin Buu became a good guy. Well, I think that's all the stories I have. Bye.
I'm done. See ya.
I'm done. I've been done since Frieza. Don't ask anything else from me. I don't know. They kill his dog.
Okay, so now we have those questions. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Go on.
Okay, so now that we have all those questions out of the way, now comes the big one. Best fight in the series.
That is a tough one. I'm gonna give it to Cell
Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z?
Okay, if it's Dragon Ball, it's Piccolo versus Goku.
Oh, 100%.
At the final fight, which is a masterpiece of animation. And if not that, then it's probably Goku versus Piccolo Daimon. Again, just really well animated, but like with the great thing of Dragon Ball before it becomes Dragon Ball Z is it's before everyone's disappearing off screen and you have that trope of they're moving so fast I can't even see them. You know? That's not in effect yet. So you get that fluidity of motion of people like actually jumping around the screen, doing, you know, jump kicks and sweeping kicks, and like how amazingly animated that is. So I'd probably say from a pure animation standpoint, which is that's what you're judging when you're judging an anime fight, for my money. He threw me in a pit. That was mean. I'd say Piccolo versus Goku. If I'm going Dragon Ball Z, I'd say Cell versus Gohan, because there's this perfect moment that I love, and it's one of my top favorite Dragon Ball moments. And it is when Cell takes an entire episode to like power up, and you're just seeing the depth of Cell's power. And he's literally like, you know, screaming, and you're seeing the world shake, and like the deer looks up as it's drinking from a stream and looks concerned, and you're seeing the cities shake and the earth crumble, and you're seeing like canyons form in the deserts, and Cell's like, pretty impressive. And then Gohan just sucker punches him in the stomach, and Cell looks like he's gonna vomit. That is such a Toriyama move that I love it. And that's why I think, you know, and of course you have Goku sacrificing himself and Cell not really being dead. And then, you know, the whole, you know, how overblown and how melodramatic it gets, which anime can afford itself to do, when Goku's ghost comes back and does the whole thing where him and Gohan both shoot the Kamehameha wave together. And then that perfect just explosion where you see Cell's body disintegrate in the Kamehameha wave. So that's my favorite fight. I'm gonna say it's Gohan versus Cell.
Yeah, that's my favorite moment in probably almost all of anime, is that father-son Kamehameha, because it's just this massive culmination of like all of Gohan's story, all of Goku's story, just being like, no, it's on you now. And
it wasn't, because
it wasn't. Unfortunately, it wasn't.
The fans said no, and that will always piss me off.
Cowards.
That's the one time of fan editorializing that'll piss me off more than anything else, is that he really wanted it to be Gohan's the protagonist now, which he should have been. Goku should have stayed dead. You could have done the entire Majin Buu story, but with Gohan as the main character, not Goku. And I love Goku. Goku's a great character, but I feel like Gohan's a more rounded out, or had the potential to be a more rounded out character. because
It felt
Gohan
like the story
was more
was leading to him becoming the hero.
Yes. Like, you saw Gohan from a very young age. Oh, I got the purple turtle hermit turtle. You know, you see his training with Piccolo. He's a wiser character than Goku. He has more complex motivation. He's torn between wanting to be a success because his mother is, like, you know, pushing him to actually not just be a wilderness man, but also knowing, like, hey, if I don't save the world, no one else is going to. I think the moment we saw him go to high school, we should have known, oh, this ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, oh no.
God, they did him so dirty in the Buu saga.
He's sidling up for that side character position. He's getting ready to be he's getting ready to be Gohan's not even a tertiary, a tritagonist, you know? Like, which is a word I learned recently when someone was talking about Hey Arnold. I didn't know that there was a term tritagonist, which is the third most important person in a series. Which, by the way, the person who coined that phrase pissed me off because they said that Helga was a tritagonist in Hey Arnold. I'm sorry. Gerald's not more important than Helga. Are you insane?
Yeah, it's literally his best friend.
Gerald's, like, Arnold's best friend, but, like, the show is literally called Hey Arnold because of Helga. Helga has way more episodes that are just about her. Anyway, enough about Hey Arnold. Let's talk about Dragon Ball.
The whole thing.
But yeah, it's like in the Buu saga, Vegeta's the secondary protagonist, and they're going forward. They're going forward. It's the Goku and Vegeta show. It's all about their relationship, and it's just so funny when you read that, like, Toriyama's like, I don't really like him that much. There's a great comic that Toriyama wrote where it was Vegeta confronting him about that, and I find that so funny. It's
so funny.
It's like it's because Toriyama's self-insert he's a self-insert king. Like when he would have, like, Toriyama the man show up in his comics, they're always so funny. Because that's something that harkens back to Dr. Slump, where at least every issue you would get, hey, what's the author doing now? And it's always something embarrassing. It's always him looking at porno mags and smoking cigarettes while playing with model trains. So there's a comic where, like, it was like Dragon Ball's 25th anniversary. And he's like, hey everyone, it's me, Akira Toriyama, and I'm celebrating Dragon Ball's 20th anniversary. And I'm here with, you know, Vegeta and Frieza and Goku. Guys, aren't you glad that, you know, it's our 25th anniversary? And they also just start mouthing off to Toriyama. And he's all like, you guys are being really disrespectful. You guys are being shamefully disrespectful. And, like, Frieza's like, I heard in an interview recently that you admitted you forgot how to draw me. He's like, no, I didn't say that. Vegeta, stick up for me. You're like my most popular creation. And Vegeta's like, yeah, and I heard that you wanted me to die in the Frieza saga. And you only kept me around because the fans liked me. He's like, so Dragon Ball's turning 25, everyone. Yay. It's like all his creations pissed at him because they're just taking all the shit he said in interviews and calling him out on it is great. And that's, I mean, when it comes to Toriyama, as much as, I lived, bitch. As much as, like, we love the fight scenes of Dragon Ball, for me, it's always his sense of humor and his ability to make scrungly little guys. He's the king of the scrungly little guy.
Yeah, just a weird little dude.
He's the king of weird little dudes. Like, even back as, like, Emperor Pilaf, you know? He's great at making little dudes. He has a unparalleled sense of humor, which is why I tell everyone who's a fan of Dragon Ball to please read Dr. Slump. It's such a fabulously funny book. It has some heartwarming moments too, which is really shocking. But most of all, it's just like, it's peak gag anime. And I love that, like, as much as, like, Toriyama moved away from that in Dragon Ball Z, there's still elements of it, which is why I always say Majin Buu is my favorite character, because he brought back. Feralden said best fight was Yamcha versus Cybermen.
Based. I'm gonna be right back. I need to go to the bathroom.
Okay. Actually, I'm gonna take a break too. We'll be right back, folks. I'm gonna hit the BRB button and then we'll be back with more Dragon Ball. Hopefully I can solve this maze. This is the reason why I said I think maybe this game isn't so revered as we thought it would be, because this maze goes on for friggin' ever. So I'll be right back. Hello, hi. Can you people hear me? Okay. I'm waiting for Andos to come back. We're gonna move on from this game probably when he comes back, because I have a special tier maker tier I want to see if he wants to do, and hopefully it'll be a lot of fun. If you're fans of the channel, you might know what that tier maker tier is. If you're in the chat, sound off just to make sure that we're back and that I know that I'm not alone and scared in this wide universe. God, this level's way too long. I am getting sick of this song. This is why I always stream with guests, is because if not, I just get real quiet while streaming. And some people, you know, like seeing streams where... Oh, you're back. Hey.
Hey.
I was just going into my spiel of why I don't like streaming alone. Where I'm just hearing my own voice and I'm getting like more and more self-conscious as I'm going. I'm gonna try and beat this level, then afterwards, Andos, we've already been streaming for like 2 hours. Did you want to go ahead and do a tier maker list of some Dragon Ball characters?
Oh, yes, because I'm going to have dinner soon, so.
Okay. Let me just, I think this is the fight with Pilaf and Shu.
Mm-hmm.
So this should be. Thanks for hanging out. This has been a blast.
Oh, no, I've had a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm glad you had me on.
I'm meaning to do stuff with you guys more. You know, just it's weird because our schedules never seem to like.
No. But
it's just good to have friends that also. Oh, go ahead.
No, did you finish?
I was just gonna say it's good to also have friends that like writing long-winded, like thoughts on anime.
My detriment. And getting absolutely fucked by copyright.
Yeah, oh god. The Kinikon video, I'm gonna do it in 2 ways. I'm gonna do it mostly in stills, and then one that's just regular, and then see, you know, put the one that's mostly stills on YouTube, and then the one that's uncut, like on Patreon for anyone just to download if they would rather. Because it's a Toei.
Good idea.
They're gonna fuck me. They're gonna fuck me. There's no way they're not. Even though this anime is not available in America, they're gonna fuck me. Because like people get even like the theme song taken down from YouTube, which is crazy. But yeah, copyright sucks.
I could go on a whole rant about New Japan, but I think I'll spare your viewers my
I
rage.
saw what happened recently. It's insane. You're right. It is a detriment. For those of you who don't know, New Japan Pro Wrestling will copyright bomb anyone who even posts a goddamn picture from a classic match on like Twitter or something. A picture, a photo.
That's what pissed me off. I was like, really? A picture, New Japan? Well, like,
they are destroying their own posterity. They are destroying their own history by doing that.
So I think I'm going to launch into this then, because here's the thing about New Japan. Like, there are multiple periods in their history where they have, like, the best wrestlers and, like, the best runs of matches. And, like, I want to celebrate that because I got into Shinya Hashimoto, and he's the sickest dude. Like, he has so many great matches against Tenryu and Vader and all this stuff. And I want to be like, hey, you should check this out. But, like, I don't know what it is about TVSI in New Japan, like, hating their own fan base and, like, wanting to gatekeep their own history. But it's harder for me to, like, recommend them as opposed to, like, an All Japan or an All Japan Women's, because their stuff is just out there. Like, they let stuff just be out there. Like, entire shows from All Japan Women's, you can just go on YouTube and it's in 720p, 60 frames per second. It's there. But, like, if you want to find this, like, match from, like, the 80s or what have you, it's like, they will just say, nope, can't have it. And by the way, your channel's gone. Have fun.
I wanted to ask you about that. Is it that All Japan allows that? Or All Japan can't stop it? Because I never knew the current All Japan is like in name only. I don't know what rights they have from the previous All Japan. Because like after Noah split with All Japan, All Japan persisted for a little while, but eventually shut down. And then another company, it's kind of like how, yeah, technically Atari is still around, but it's actually Infogrames that bought the name of Atari and then changed their name from Infogrames to Atari. So it's not the real Atari, if that makes any sense. I feel like there's kind of like a thing with All Japan right there. So they might not have any grounds to copyright strike people. The All Japan women's stuff might just be out in the fucking ether they can't control. Because I think the copyright thing is definitely a cultural thing with the Japanese. And how Japanese media companies perceive media. Because it's not just pro wrestling. You, like you said, in anime, you post anything by Toei that's more than a 6-second clip, you're getting fucked. Your channel's gone. Goodbye. It's not just a warning. Sorry, what?
Studio Ghibli's bad with that too.
Yeah. Ghibli's like that, and like these companies who don't understand what free advertising is will fucking destroy your channel. They won't just warn you, they will strike you and try to get your channel removed. Years of your life's work just gone in an instant because I used too much Space Adventure Cobra. I got in trouble once for using the Italian version of the theme song to Tiger Mask. It's like, this isn't even the Japanese version. I'm using the Italian version and you took my stream down? It's crazy. It's crazy. But no. Graham insulted you in the chat. They said when you start talking about New Japan, Graham wrote, "Oh, I can see why Chris is friends with this guy." There it is. I talk about wrestling way too much for my non-wrestling friends. Yeah. They're just, they don't get it. They don't get how we live for this shit. We have such a love-hate relationship with this shit.
Yeah, I don't even know why I'm a fan. Why am I a fan of wrestling?
That's a huge question I find myself asking myself all the time.
Right.
It's like, why when I see the tribalism and the hate online, when I see multi-million-dollar companies acting like children, when my favorite wrestler gets outed as a murderer or a sex pest or a drug peddler, when Chris Jericho's theme Judas hits, I always ask, why do I put up with this shit? Yeah. So here's a big question before we move on to the tier. Where do you think your life would be without Toriyama? If you never read Dragon Ball, what type of person do you think you'd be?
Well, as I look around my workroom and see the various anime posters and video game posters on the walls, that definitely would not exist. Like, I have this interesting theory where, like, fans now of, like, the modern, say, from, like, the 90s onward, I feel like Japanese culture as it is would not exist in the same way it does now if it's not for Akira Toriyama and Dragon Ball. Because without Akira Toriyama and Dragon Ball, you don't really, like, push Toonami into the forefront in terms of, like, there's Dragon Ball and then you have Sailor Moon, then you have Tenchi Muyo. And, like, without Dragon Ball, you don't, like, have an understanding of, like, Japanese culture. You don't have, like, an understanding of how manga kind of works. You don't have an understanding of how, like, you have fights in anime. Like, so much that, like, you appreciate about, like, Japanese culture, Japanese media isn't there if, like, Dragon Ball doesn't, like, open the door.
Yeah. Definitely. I think that it by the way, Graham, I was just poking fun at you. I wasn't trying to I wasn't trying to start shit. I'm sorry, Graham. In the chat. That's literally the best man at my wedding.
Hi, Graham.
Yeah, I think our understanding of Japanese culture as Americans comes from Japanese pop culture, and I feel like Japanese pop culture, Pokemon would have done something, you know? Mm-hmm. But I feel like our obsession with the shonen anime would not be there. Mm-hmm. And shonen anime is different than Pokemon. You could say Pokemon, but Pokemon's also about a young boy who, no, it's different. The cultivation of strength, both mental and physical, the training montages, the build up with these giant fights against one like imposing and indomitable foe that the protagonist eventually like overcomes, the whole trope of enemies becoming friends, like all that stuff. Your Naruto, your One Piece, everything comes from America's obsession. And I would be a drastically different person. I cannot fathom who I would be without Toriyama.
No,
because
me neither.
I was into Toriyama before I even saw Dragon Ball. I played Chrono Trigger on the Super Nintendo when it came out, and I became obsessed with it. So when Dragon Ball finally started hitting, I was like, this looks like the dude that did Chrono Trigger's artwork. You know, I always kind of like remember putting those two together. And like everything I write, is inspired by, you know, little fan projects I had in my brain, you know, like I don't want to say fan fiction because I didn't actually write it, but like, you know, I wanted to be a writer because it was my dream as like a little kid, like a middle schooler. So don't, you know, we all have preposterous dreams when we're children. Like I want to write like the next Chrono Trigger, you know, and then that story morphed into something else. And then, you know, suddenly things I'm writing now in my 40s all come from like a seed of, you know, playing Chrono Trigger and watching Dragon Ball as a kid. And Dragon Ball got me into Japanese culture, and it got me into, you know, anime and manga. And while I'm sure video games would still be a part of my life, I don't think video games would be as big a part of my life if it wasn't for the fact, you know, I was the kid that had my PlayStation modified so I could import games. You know, I was the kid that was tape trading in high school so I could watch Dragon Ball years before anyone else could finish it. You know, when people were on the Frieza saga, I was on the Majin Buu saga, you know? And I think I'd have different values. I would, you know, I wouldn't be a toy collector. I probably wouldn't be streaming either. Like all this stuff in my life.
I would not be talking to you.
Yes, we'd be two strangers. We'd be two strangers without Dragon Ball. I probably wouldn't like wrestling as much as I do without Dragon Ball. You know, I could be a fucking jock. Maybe I'd be happier. Maybe I have hair. No, but yeah. Oh, it's funny. I said I'd be a jock. I'm 40 and I'm still looking at jocks and nerds, and I forget that Andos is fucking shredded like Bruce Lee over here on the call. You should see Andos.
Now, that's actually a great segue into another thing. Sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
That's a segue into another thing about Dragon Ball that just wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Toriyama, is that the fitness culture around it. Like growing up and like having Toriyama tell you that like you have these limits that are put upon you, and knowing that not only can you break through those limits, but they're these intense emotional and like physical breakthroughs to realize that you had this true power inside you this whole time. And like having Dragon Ball Z like present that to you is just some of the most inspirational shit you will ever see. And like the way that like it influences me in like my workouts and like influences me in terms of like having discipline and like having meaningful like goals in life would be different if it wasn't for Dragon Ball Z.
I totally get that. I totally get how Shonen's emphasis on the cultivation of strength would spurn you to go on to work out. When I was in shape in high school, that's when I started dropping weight and putting on muscle mass. It was because I wanted to be a pro wrestler. That was my inspiration. And then the more and more people told me like, you're going to break your neck, you're going to die, I believed them and I stopped working out. And now fast forward, I'm 40 years old and I'm just insanely out of shape. I want to get back into it, but no, it helps because a lot of working out, I would assume, is all kind of like playing up to some kind of power fantasy you have in your own head. You know, there's the whole like, I want to get in shape. I want to be better. I want to live longer. I want to sleep better. I want to have more stamina. I want to be able to do the things I want to do. But there's also, like you said, there's that part of you that wants to put on an AMV and pretend that you're going fucking Super Saiyan. You know,
right?
Like you want to put on Linkin Park and punch holes through people.
I'm putting on Drowning Pool. What are you talking about?
I put on the opening. I put on the opening of the second season of Fist of the North Star. Welcome to this crazy time. And I'm putting holes in the wall with my fingertips.
Yeah.
So yeah. That's the same thing with pro wrestling is like, I'd put on a match and I'd start lifting out and I'd be like, I need to put on this muscle mass so I can German suplex someone over my head. And like I was doing neck bridges, like I need to strengthen my neck muscle so when I German suplex I can actually bridge it. I don't want to do like a lazy German suplex like in the WWE. I want to be like Akira Toriyama in PWG where I'm like doing crazy neck bridges after I land a German.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I need to go to display capture. Okay, so now that we've talked about fitness, let's talk about something more fat guys like me are into. That's food.
All right, let's do this.
This is a tier maker list. And this is one I've been promising the chat I'd do for a while. I think I'm about a year and a half late on it. Come on. OBS is fighting me every step of the way. I like making it so you don't see my friggin' Windows bars at the top and bottom of the screen. Oh, this feels kind of nasty looking. Okay, we're going to move it over so the chat has some space to talk. Perfect. Let me share my screen to you, Andos, just so you're up to date.
All right.
Can I do that? Okay. Do you see the tier maker? Okay. This is every Dragon Ball Z villain and how good they would be at being the managers of a CC's Pizza if their life depended on it. Now, Andos, you said you've never been to a CC's Pizza, so I just want you to imagine a Domino's or a Pizza Hut back in the day when you can sit down and you had the big red weird plastic cups and you could just eat at a buffet, a pizza buffet.
Okay.
So so I have the tiers like this. The bottom tier is GT character I do not care. I don't like GT. It's not canon. Toriyama didn't write it. I never watched it. I don't care. The next, oh man, it messed up everything. The next list up is prison for intentionally poisoning their customers. Now, you're going to want to put every villain in here, but the thing is, their life depends on it. They will be sent to hell if their Pizza Inn closes, or CC's Pizza or Pizza Hut, whatever. The next tier up is prison for poisoning their customers, so not intentional. They accidentally give their customers food poisoning so badly that they go to prison. Mm-hmm. The next tier up is closed. They did a bad job. The store closed down. The next tier up is empty counters, dirty tables. The next tier up is food's good. A buffet takes a bit long to restock.
Mm-hmm.
The second to final tier is hot pepperoni coming through. That means they're on their game. They're getting the orders out. They're getting the buffet restocked. The drink machine's full of ice. It's a good dining experience. And then the top tier is they got Street Fighter 2 up in this bitch. Because when I was a kid, remember, I'm 40. I'm 20. I mean, I'm 10 years older than you. When I was a kid, that's how you knew a restaurant was great, is if they had a Street Fighter 2 cabinet. And it was like that for a while. There was a good 5-year period where if your little arcade that was attached to your restaurant did not have Street Fighter 2, you weren't shit. That was the only game people cared about in Texas for like a good 5-year streak.
I will give you the millennial example of that. They got Marvel vs. Capcom 2 up in this bitch.
Oh God, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is such a good game. I watched your faves video because I wanted to rewatch some of your stuff before having you on, because I'm a very nervous, shy person. And I feel like if I could hear your voice before streaming, Like it prepares me for having a conversation with you. So I rewatched that video, and it's like when you're talking about buying a CRT just to play Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I was like, fuck, if I had the time, I should have. If it wasn't Piccolo Day, that's what we'd be doing. I'm Juggernaut.
Power up.
What a great declaration of like, I'm here and ready to fight is just, I'm Chris. I'm Captain America. Like, what a weird Juggernaut, you crazy bastard. Okay.
I love Juggernaut.
So
anyway,
we're gonna start at random. We're gonna start at random here. First person, I'm gonna close my eyes. First person I land on that's not a GT character is a GT.
the GT.
First person. Okay. I want to say this is one of Garlic Jr.'s henchmen.
Yes.
I think he's from the Dead Zone movie. Where are all of Garlic
series?
Oh yeah, he's from the series, so he'd be down here with. Man, okay. Let's pick it. I'm gonna go again, one more again, until we land on someone we actually know a lot about.
Okay.
King Cold. Okay.
King Cold. Okay.
King Cold. So if King Cold had to run a pizza place, how well do you think he would do?
See, I'm thinking to myself, he's king, right? So like he has command over so much, so he has leadership skills. Although he doesn't, because of that fear, I feel like he's not the most liked amongst his peers. He's not liked amongst the most of his coworkers. I'm thinking somewhere between empty counters, dirty tables, and food's good, but buffet takes long to restock.
I'm going to go with you on empty counter tables because I feel like the Frieza Empire is kind of like the death throes of the Roman Empire, where it got too big and the people up top don't care enough to keep it going. And I believe that both him and his son would be so lazy that while they would run a business that stays open because his employees would work on the threat of the pain of death, you know? But they're not going to work well enough to keep it running good. He does not care enough to be a good manager. So I'm going to say empty counters, dirty tables for King Cold. You know, for that reason too, I'm going to put King Vegeta up there.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, he did a lot of stuff to placate Lord Frieza, but at the same time, like when you see King Vegeta back through Vegeta's like flashbacks and stuff, he doesn't seem like a good ruler. The Zains are kind of just a race of freaking mongrel dogmen. You know, they're not like the most efficient run empire. So I don't think he'd be that great at running a pizza place. This is such a weird tier list.
Okay, so for that reason, considering that like King Vegeta is kind of just like a puppet king to Frieza, I think he might be worse actually.
You think he? Like, you know what? Oh, because Frieza's like the general manager. And he shows up and he's like super pissed off that like, God, look at your drink machine. There's been no ice for, look, people are waiting on their orders. I'm just shutting this place down. And he does that little thing with his finger and blows up all of Planet Vegeta. You know what? You're right. CC's. Closed. The CC's closes. Okay, let's go with Nappa.
Nappa. He's got big assistant manager energy to me.
He does. But could he run it by himself? Without Vegeta there, does Nappa... Would Nappa be able to do it by himself?
Oh, man.
I think Nappa might be prison for poisoning his customers.
You know, yeah.
I think Nappa's kind of a screw-up. And the fact that Vegeta like gives him his termination notice so easily.
Yeah. Okay.
He doesn't know enough about food preparation.
No.
Because at least King Vegeta has like somewhat of a more refined palate because he is a king of the Zains. Nap is just a dirty man. He's just a dirty. All he knows is killing people. He doesn't, and his body is so strong, it doesn't understand the concept of food poisoning. So Nappa doesn't wash his hands. Let's just put it up there. Nappa doesn't wash his goddamn hands.
We should have another tier for doesn't wash hands poisons the customers.
Doesn't wash hands. By the way, people in the chat, can you see this tier stream? I'm so paranoid because I've had so many streams happen that were just bad. Okay. Baba D's great grandfather, Bibbidi. Where do you see Bibbidi? He is very irresponsible because he just creates a fucking universe-ending monster without understanding how to control it. I think he's closed. I think he's closed.
All right.
Piccolo Daimo.
See, all right. Piccolo Daimo, I think I might put him up at Street Fighter 2 up in this bitch.
You think he has Street Fighter 2?
Dude, he knows how to get shit done.
Yeah. Because if
he rolls up. So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, he rolls up into the Red Ribbon Army's base and is like, you know what? I'm just gonna take this over. He's got big dick energy. I respect that. He could probably run a great franchise.
He does hate peace, and he does hate the rule of law. But the thing is, this is upon pain. Like, this is upon, like, they have to. They are compelled by some reason that they have to do as good as a job as they can. It's family owned. All of his employees are just eggs that he spits up and they work for him. So he's not the most cleanly guy. But you're right. I think he would run the most efficient, like he would run a CZ's Pizza like a fascist state. And that's really what you want out of a local restaurant. So yeah, I would give.
Okay, I'm going to add in another caveat too, so we can keep them up there, is because if everything is family owned and they're under Piccolo Daimyo, that means that they have all the knowledge. So all the knowledge that Piccolo has to run a store, they're all going to have. So you're never going to have to worry about like a king cold situation.
Yeah, you're right. His men are loyal to the death to make sure this pizza place runs good. Yeah. That being said, I'm going to put his underlings at Hot Pepperoni coming through.
That makes sense.
Because I think they would do a good job, but not as good as him. Because they would do it, because you would imagine he would then be like the general manager of the Tri-City area of all the CC's pizzas. Such a stupid list. I love it.
I love it.
Okay. Piccolo Jr. would also be, they got Street Fighter 2.
I think so too, yeah.
If he knew like the safety of Gohan rested upon it, then he would. Monster Carrot from Dragon Ball. Somewhere low, right? Like he's a scrub of a villain.
He's a scrub.
He has 2 henchmen, so at least he has managerial experience.
Yeah, but I mean, do you want him to be the manager of like your biggest store?
I'd say he's in prison for poisoning his customers.
Yeah.
That's like them not understanding how to make food that isn't carrots. Like, I totally buy that in like a Toriyama-esque thing. And so like, no, sorry.
So actually, no, go back up. Put him in closed, because all he would do would make carrot food. Carrot-based
That's
food.
right. And no one wants it.
No one wants it.
And he doesn't understand that human beings don't like that. Like, he's so myopic. Exactly. Like a good anime villain. Raditz. I think he also doesn't wash his hands. I think Raditz might be dirtier than Nappa.
Probably, yeah.
Brawly second returns when he's an ooze man. Can't wash hands.
He can't.
He's incapable.
He's all filth.
He's what?
He's all filth too, so of course he wouldn't wash his hands.
He can't. To wash his hands would be to wash himself away. Okay, regular Brawly before he becomes a muck monster. And this is classic Brawly.
Classic Brawly?
He's kind of just a drone without his dad, isn't he?
Pretty much, yeah, until he becomes legendary Broly, who's kind of just a dude.
He's just a dude.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to say he's in prison for intentionally poisoning his customers, because even though he knows his life is on the line, he's so bloodthirsty he doesn't care. Because that's kind of the thing with the first Brawly is like, his dad is like, son, you're going to ruin this all for us. You need to stop. He's like, no, that baby is here. Like the first time a baby cries, he's poisoning the customers. Exactly, he's going to blow up the store. So I think he's intentionally, he cannot hold his anger in.
No.
Dr. Giro.
I mean, he played 4D chess knowing that he was going to die to his android, so he had a failsafe with Cell. That's got to be Street Fighter 2 up in this bitch.
Yeah. He's going to run a pretty efficient pizza place. I'm going to say I'm also putting 16 up there.
100%. Yeah. No, 100%.
He's the one guy who's doing it for the love of the game. He wants the children to smile.
I would also argue that he has a good relationship with his employees because he's empathetic.
He's empathetic. He's a good boss. He's the best boss, maybe.
Yeah.
His employees, though, his employees can't do shit without him because they don't care. So actually, that's why I'm putting... Go ahead.
I would put them in prison for intentionally poisoning customers because their whole role is to kill the human race.
That's true. But 18... Oh, they get redeemed, though.
That
and
is
then they
true.
care about animals.
Okay, but are we talking post-Cell games or post-Cell
I'm
saga?
saying this is post-Cell games.
Okay.
I'm gonna say she's a wife and a mother, but she also is still very cold and doesn't care. So I'm gonna put her at empty counter tables. I'm gonna put him at prison for poisoning customers because he still never understands what it is to be human, and he just goes to live with animals in the woods. Mm-hmm. So hers is from lack of caring about the job because she has other stuff going on, and him is just lack of understanding human biology.
Right.
They're still not as good.
She's the person you'd most expect to put in their 2 weeks and then just not show up for those 2 weeks.
She's quiet quitting. Okay, there's someone else I have to put on Street Fighter 2 up in this bitch, and that's Captain Ginyu.
Okay. Oh, 100%. Captain Ginyu. Put him up there.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to put Birder and Rikum on the hot pepperoni coming through level.
Yeah.
Where's
they're
Birder?
your closers. You want those guys.
Yeah. They're going to run a good pizza place.
Yeah. It's like if the
Ginyu Force...
Yeah, like if Captain Ginyu calls in sick, you can rely on those guys to be managers when he's not there.
Exactly. Goldo, though. Where is Goldo? Goldo, I'm sorry. Goldo, you do not trust.
Goldo's a jobber.
Goldo, he's very irresponsible.
Yeah.
His heart's not in the game. He's just there for the paycheck. Rikum, I think he'd be on hot pepperoni coming through. Rikum seems dependable. He's an idiot, but he'd at least keep the stores open.
Yeah, I give him a good tip.
Yeah. I can't find the rest of the Ginyu Force. I keep scrolling over them. Beerus. Beerus from Super.
See, I'd be scared to work under Beerus because one small mistake and he's blowing up the whole store. So I'd put him for intentionally poisoning customers.
Yeah. There's no, you could tell him all of creation is on the line. He wouldn't care.
No.
He would not care. Dabura. I think Dabura's at good food buffet takes a little long. Cause he's the literal Christian devil. and he's one of Bibadi's henchmen, but he seems to have his shit kind of together. He's a little more competent than like even Majin Buu is. And the only reason he works for Bibidi is because he's under the Majin spell. So while I don't think he'd be great, I think he'd run an okay pizza place. Yeah. I think he would know enough to not let the store go into disrepair.
You wouldn't like rely on him, but like if you had no one else, you kind of go to him.
Yeah. Frieza's little blue woman from Dragon Ball Super.
I have no idea who that is.
Jeez. I'm putting her in hot pepperoni coming through. She works with Frieza and she's a little more competent Frieza. I think she shows up twice in Super and that's it. Okay. Majin Buu has to be closed, right?
Yeah.
Like I love the guy, but he wouldn't share the food.
Exactly. Although I would say if we were making a tier list about like candy shops or like ice cream parlors, I'd put him up pretty high. But again, he'd eat all the stock.
I'd eat all the stock and it'd go out of business. I don't think you trust Majin Buu with anything. No. You trust Majin Buu to watch your cat. You're coming home without a cat.
Yeah. He's the bus boy.
He's the trash compactor. Like it's the Flintstones. Like he's just in the back and you're putting the leftovers in his mouth. Yeah. Yarkon's just a fucking monster. Yeah. Yarkon's a monster. He doesn't wash his hands. Lord Slug from the movies.
Lord Slug. I'd probably put him somewhere between empty counters and closed because, like, yeah, he has command over his army, but like, I feel like I'd be afraid to work for him.
Yeah, he's not a good boss.
No.
You know what? Let's put him at closed because a lot of stores close because of lack of managerial skills. And when you're the type of boss that like your minions are scared of you and you kill them, that's just what happens. Vegeta. Right. You could make a case for Vegeta with all of these.
You really could.
He could not hold a job. He gets too angry too easily. Like they've proven that when like Bulma tries to get him to get a job later in Super, and he never wants to play like the stupid games that like other characters have to play. You know, it's kind of like, remember when Piccolo refused to chase the ape and the cricket on King Kai's planet? I feel like Vegeta's that times two.
Right.
So,
but like, here's the thing: Vegeta's a really, really hard worker, but like, you'd have to like really go put him into like an employee review and like know where he's at. Yeah. Like you're putting a lot of trust in Vegeta if you're having him be a manager. So
I don't think Vegeta has the personal skills.
No. You just yell at them.
Yeah. I'm gonna say he's a little better than his dad. I'd say empty counter tables, dirty tables, because he's at least better than his dad. Yeah. And his wife has to teach him some things. Like if Bulma was on this list, this is just the villains. If Bulma was on this list, she'd be on Street Fighter 2. Because while Bulma is demanding and combative, Bulma also runs a fucking billion-dollar company.
Right.
So some of that has to rub off on him, but I don't think enough to make him good at it because he still would just be yelling at his employees. They would walk out. There would be an employee walkout under Vegeta's leadership. Garlic Jr. It's in the name. You think he'd be good at making pizza, but I have a feeling I would not put Garlic Jr. high.
Trying to think of like how he treated his henchmen. Like he didn't kill any of them. Did he? Pretty sure. Yeah.
I don't think he kills any of them, but he definitely just uses them as cannon fodder.
See,
he doesn't have a good relationship. Like Ginyu has a great relationship with his minions.
Yeah, it's total positive masculinity.
Yes, they're all friends. They go bowling. They play games. They have in-jokes.
Yeah. Rakuma's his best man at his wedding.
Yeah, they're bros for life. They take their vacation time at the same time so they can go together. Goldo
the
really
Ginyu
wanted to
Force, by
see
the way.
Six Flags. Goldo wanted to see Six Flags Magic Mountain so bad.
He wanted to ride Raging Bull so badly.
Okay, this year Raccoon gets to pick the vacation.
Oh, great.
Uh,
No, what the Ginyu Force is? Ginyu Force is the type of family that like go to Disneyland and they all get the matching hats. They all get
They
matching
would.
ears.
I want to be in the Ginyu Force.
I do too. I love how the streams turn into like a we love the Ginyu Force.
Everyone loves the Ginyu
Yeah,
Force.
okay.
They're great.
Great, yeah.
Toriyama just said, "Hey, you know what? This freaking like the most stakes this series has ever been raised. Like this bad guy we've been building up for 5 years, and he killed all of Goku's people, and even Vegeta's scared of him. You know what this series needs? Needs some levity. Let's have in some Super Sentai goofy hijinks where they all play games.
Shout out to
Garlic. I think Garlic Jr. would be closed.
Yeah, cartoon is closed.
He's too self-absorbed and he would yell. This is the kind of guy that yells at customers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's not
Like
just
the
yelling at
food's
his
great,
employees.
but the service is bad.
Champa. I think
Tommaso
he's
Ciampa?
so. Yes. Is his name Champa? Isn't it Beerus and Champa? Like Beerus is beer and his brother's champagne. I think I'm saying it right. Sorry, it's been a grip since I've seen Super. Dragon Ball Super. Is it Champa? Yeah, Champa. Here's the thing.
Okay.
I'm putting Champa higher than Beerus because Champa wants to do so much better than Beerus. He would be better. Like he's so obsessed with one-upping his brother.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of intentionally poisoning his customers, he accidentally poisons his customers. They need to be on the same level, but for different reasons. It's like the baseball episode, which, by the way, thank God there was every show needs I know every anime has to have the beach episode. I think every show in existence needs the baseball episode. Star Trek Deep Space Nine has a baseball episode. Dragon Ball has a baseball episode. Every anime, every show, every property, I don't care if it's Law and Order SVU, you need to have an episode where all the main characters play a game of baseball.
Even in the X-Men
what-
comics, there's an issue dedicated to playing baseball.
Yeah. That's our next tier list. What position would each X-Men play? I'd put Wolverine as shortstop because he's short. Dodoria.
Doria.
Dodoria.
Okay, so
He's-
I'm gonna say my piece about Dodoria and Zarbon. Like Dodoria and Zarbon, they're cool. Like they're smoking weed outside of the restaurant and they're all talking about stuff. But here's the thing: I feel like Zarbon cares about the job more than Dodoria. Like Dodoria's there
Really?
just to kind of get a paycheck, and Zarbon's like, you know what? I really want to move up. I really care about this job. I really want to show my boss that I'm dedicated. So I think that Zarbon would probably be hot pepperoni coming through.
Okay, you put Dodoria one rung below him, or you think he'd be at empty counters, dirty tables?
I think empty counters. I don't think his heart is in
Wow.
it like as much
Yeah.
as Zarbon.
He's just doing it to stay out of super hell prison or whatever happens if the store closes.
Mhm.
He doesn't care.
Like he's not
I like
quiet
that.
quitting, but like he still wants to get that paycheck.
He's checked out.
He's checked out.
He's
Yeah,
kind of like me in video editing. He's checked out.
he's me at my current job.
Okay, so here's BoJack. Let's talk about BoJack for a second.
Okay.
Admittedly, I don't remember a lot about BoJack. Now, if it was his best friend Todd Chavez running the pizza place, I would assume there'd be like wacky hijinks involved, and then the store would originally like catch on fire. But I think BoJack's history of like drugs and alcohol abuse and the issues with like his family, especially the abuse of his father, would really make him like unreliable as a manager. He'd probably be like blacked out, drunk in the back, and then, you know, maybe doing cocaine, and there'd be some kind of like sex scandal and stuff that would just really like bring the entire tone of the place. So like it'd probably close is what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
That was my because BoJack Horseman. That was my bit. That was my BoJack.
I figured you were about to slip that in there.
That was my whole. But at one time he was DPW world champion. BoJack is prison for intentionally poisoning customers, and here's why. Okay. He is the villain that kills his henchmen.
Okay.
Like straight up, he kills his own henchmen. Like, you're not doing a good enough job. And that's a bad boss, but it's also a self-sabotaging boss. And if you're willing to kill your own friends, you're gonna kill customers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think his bloodlust wouldn't allow it. And I'm gonna go ahead and posthumously award his slain comrades the position of closed. Because they'd at least try, but they'd also would fail because they failed enough to get murdered in the first place. There has to be some personal responsibility.
I would say all the movies henchmen would be enclosed then. Or is there someone that
there's you know what? All the movie henchmen are all pretty much scrub tier losers.
Right, because they're too scared to actually learn about the position.
That it helps us get through this list a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm. Been blanking on like 90% of these guys.
This guy, I think he's only in the manga of Super, so I'm gonna put him in I don't care. Dr. Giro is, or Wheelo, sorry, not Giro, Wheelo from the movie. This guy's in GT, I don't care.
I just saw Baby in there. I'd probably put that in GT, don't care.
Where's Tien? You are a movie henchman. Oh, I don't actually. I'm gonna debate Koala Man in a second. I'm not gonna put him just yet. I like this guy's hat. I've always liked this guy's hat. I think he's one of Garlic Jr.'s from Garlic Jr.'s second appearance. I've always liked his hat, but nothing else about him.
You know those peanut butter blossoms where like you put the chocolate kiss on top?
Yeah.
That's what this hat's reminding me of.
You look like a little treat.
Yeah. Good hat.
This guy definitely. I don't know. I'm actually going to put him doesn't wash hands. I don't like his look.
He looks like a guy who doesn't wash his hands.
He looks like a guy. He looks like a stink bug. These two creeps too, who I think are Turles's henchmen. I think these are Turles's henchmen from the Tree of Might. They definitely don't wash their fucking hands. This guy's from the games. I don't think he's a real TV show villain. I don't know who this is. I think that's also a movie henchman. Yamcha. This guy's definitely that guy's definitely a Garlic Jr. guy. Don't know who that is. Don't know who that is. Garlic Jr. henchman. Just getting all the henchmen out of here. I think we're getting down to like actual important characters. Oh, this guy always confuses me. He's one of Turles's men from Tree of Might, I also believe, but he looks like the Native American character from the original Dragon Ball. So it's like the evil version of him because he has like the perfect parted long hair and the masculine cut to his jaw. Okay, I think we're getting down to some real people here. Okay. Oh, nope. All right. One more henchman. Okay. Brawly's dad. We got two versions of Brawly's dad, but Brawly's dad is pretty much the same in both incarnations. Okay. It's only Brawly who gets the real rewrite. Where would you put Brawly's dad? Because he does kind of gaslight his son for a large majority of his life.
Gatekeep girl boss.
He is a girl boss. I'm not used to saying the word gaslight without following with gatekeep girl boss that I said gaslight. No, if anyone's a girl boss, it's Frieza. Frieza's the girl boss. Okay, Brawly's dad. I'm gonna say food is good, but buffet takes long. Because he has a plan. He has a plan, and he sees his plan through, but it all hinges on him gaslighting his son. So there is like that I don't know. There's kind of a fault in logic there. Like, he doesn't have enough contingencies. So while I think his store would be good, it's not as good as it can be because he doesn't know how to improvise. You know, and if something goes wrong, he gets stun locked by it. So Brawly from the new movie, where he's a little more of an empathetic character. I like him a lot more, but he's still a dumb ape. I think I'd say empty counter table's dirty. Yeah. Because his friends would help him along. Yeah.
I feel like he has a good relationship with his coworkers.
He does, but they need to. He's like Michael Scott from The Office. He's somehow the boss, but they have to like motivate him to do the right thing because he's a terrible manager.
Oh my God.
What a weird stream. Okay. Which Android is this? Is this 15? 14?
19.
That's 9. Oh, that's right. The Giro and him come after. 19. Where would you put 19?
See, he kind of just seems like a follower. I don't know. Like, I feel like I'd put him in closed. Doesn't really have like much. Yeah, it didn't have like much individual or independent thought in his head.
Yeah.
He's always just following Jiro.
Where did we put Vegeta? Oh, Vegeta was okay. Majin Vegeta. They make a distinction between Majin Vegeta and Vegeta. I'm not. I'm putting all Vegetas, including his gross. Actually, no. His gross clone would be doesn't wash hands because he's also made of goo, and doesn't understand why people can't just eat the goo.
I would also put Dr. Wheeler and doesn't wash hands because it's all metal.
Yeah. Dr. Wheelo, get in there. Like, you look at his laboratory, it's gross.
It is, yeah.
It's a gross laboratory. It is not a clean place.
Not at all.
Pui Pui, one of Babadi's henchmen, Pui Pui. With a big alien head. I mean, yeah, he's just a follower. I mean, I don't think he'd do a great job. I'm going to put him in closed.
Okay.
Tao Pai Pai. He's got to be high up, right?
He's got to be high up, yeah. I'm trying to think
He's
like where, though.
I don't think he'd be at Street Fighter 2 up in his bitch because I don't think he cares enough about making people happy, but he does care about getting like the job done, and his employees definitely would be scared of him.
Yeah. But here's the thing. He's definitely meeting like the sales of the month, right? Like he has that intensity to him where it's like he will get those numbers at the end of the month and he will do it by any means necessary.
I think he's hot pepperoni.
He has the respect. Yeah, I agree with that.
So yeah, he doesn't have the efficiency of Dr. Giro, but like even the customers are scared of Tao Pai Pai. Okay, Turles, the guy who looks like Goku but isn't related to him. He has a better boss than Garlic Jr.
He is.
He seems to have a better rapport with his henchmen. So
yeah, but not as much as Captain Ginyu.
Not as much as Captain Ginyu. I think he'd be. You know, I'm gonna put him Food's good. Buffet takes a bit long. Because he seems to have like a plan and he goes through his plan, he sticks to his plan, but he does not have the passion or the cunning to be in the top tier, which is why he's just a movie villain. That and he's just a lazy reskin of Goku. Speaking of lazy reskins of Goku, where would we put Goku Black and what's his name? Zamus and Goku Black. I'm going to put them both together.
See, I haven't watched Super, so you're going to have to help me through this.
I'll you know what?
Okay.
They could have had everything, but their own anger management issues would cause them to kill everyone. Cell Jr. does not wash hands.
Don't wash hands. No, not smart enough.
He's a creature. He's not even a human. He's just a creature. The big cricket from the Dragon Ball movie with the guy with the mohawk and the sword.
Doesn't wash hands.
Doesn't wash hands. He's a big cricket.
Big cricket, yeah. Why would you wash hands if you're a cricket?
Janemba does not wash hands.
No,
he's in hell for a reason. He's not evil enough to like poison people, but he's not smart enough to wash his damn hands. He does not wash his damn hands. I'm glad you added that caveat because there is a distinction. There is a middle ground from poisoning people to not washing your hands. Like this is I don't understand how to prep the oven good to make a good food, and it's hurting people. This is I am a nasty bastard. Right.
There's like an ennui to that. Like you just don't care enough.
Kid Buu doesn't wash hands.
I was just about to say Kid Buu doesn't wash hands.
Evil Buu, I'm gonna say intentionally poisoning customers. He doesn't care if he goes to super hell. He's taking the world down with him.
Not at all. Doesn't care.
The two guys from Hey Son Goku and Friends Return, the TV special, which introduce Vegeta's younger brother and Vegeta's younger brother's wife, and then they never show up ever again, and that makes me sad because Vegeta's younger brother's wife was one of my favorite characters. They're part of Frieza's army. They seem to know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. But
at the end of the special, they become good because I think they get bribed with radishes. Like after they get beat, they're just like, oh, well, we'll just eat radishes and hang out with you guys now.
Mm-hmm.
We're done being evil.
I feel like in that case, I feel like they're approachable managers, right? Like if you have an issue with a coworker or you want to talk about your pay, those are the guys you kind of want to trust, right?
Yeah. So do you think hot pepperoni coming through? Or do you think food good, but buffet takes a little long?
See, I don't know them as well as you do, so it's up to you.
I'm going to say they're not approaching any level of the Ginyu Force. Because they have that dedication. Yeah. But they're not evil because they get swayed from being evil very easily.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Yamcha. I kind of want to put him in doesn't wash hands, but I think he'd be poisoning customers on accident. He's a fuck up. He's a screw up. Someone's getting poisoned. Would you trust Yamcha to make you a meal?
Okay, hold on. I am going to defend Yamcha here.
Okay.
So we talked about the baseball analogy, right? So he's on a team. If he's on a team, he knows how to function with different types of people. So I feel like he has a better understanding of how to run a store than most people within like closed or empty counters, dirty tables.
But don't you think that Yamcha's whole thing is like, I'm on the team, but I'm like the hot shot who needs all the focus on him because I'm actually superpowered? Or do you think he actually gets along with his team? Like, how good at being on a team do you think Yamcha is? Because I don't think he's on the team forever.
He's on the Z Fighters, though. Like, Z Fighters are a team.
Okay, that's true.
If he's the first one that dies, that means he's willing to take all the heat.
Okay, you know what? I'll put him food's good, but buffet takes a bit long. I'll give Yamcha that. That being said, though, Tien has to be in. They got Street Fighter 2. He's right next to Piccolo.
On this.
On Tien? Everything you said about Yamcha, double it. He's dependable, willing to give his life for his friends, great interpersonal skills, fiercely loyal. He cares enough to like teach people, to train people. I know I'm going a little bit in the Super, but in Super he opens up his own dojo. I think he'd be an excellent manager, and he excels at everything he does. The only problem is that he's not a main character. He has main character energy within a show that has too many main characters, so he kind of fell by the wayside.
See, I love Tien, so I'm going to have to agree with you.
Yeah, I'm going to have to put Tien. He's right next to Piccolo, in my opinion. Yeah. Neck and neck, their numbers are really good. They're always competing for Store of the Year. Emperor Pilaf. Where does little Pilaf go?
Pilaf.
What if running a pizza place is his true calling? Like, he can't be the emperor of the world. He can't be the emperor of a country. But what if he could have one pizza place he's the manager for? And he's
I feel like he has that energy. Yeah.
Good at that. but not great. I'm gonna say food's good, but buffet takes long to restock. The clown from Super, you know what? He's evil, but he's you don't really get a feel for his character. He's also a god of death, though, but he's not as hot-headed as Beerus. So I'll put him in empty counter tables, dirty, whatever. The hot android Majin Buu lady from the video game. Where do you put her?
Ooh, Android 21.
Yeah. You want to play 21? I got 22. I always get that speech confused with Jack Black's speech at the end of the Beck music video Sex Laws. I always want to go, you want to play 21? I got 22. Empty wallets, empty parking lots, that ain't my style. Sex Laws, you want to break them? I want to break. Nope, wrong promo, kid. Where does 21 go?
Okay, so I feel like I might put her above Boo because, like, yeah, she turns into Boo, but I feel like she's like a scientist too. So, like, she has good knowledge to her, but it's tough.
Yeah, I mean,
she's not going to eat everything.
She has more self-control.
She does, yeah.
Does she have enough discipline to run the pizza place as good as these top tier?
No, I'd say food's good. Buffet takes a little bit long to restock.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Jiren.
Yeah. He's the Jiren Force, whatever the fuck they're called, are kind of like the hero version of the Ginyu Force. So I think he would have Street Fighter 2 up in this bitch.
Yeah.
The three androids from that one movie where Goku has a $40 haircut. Where do we? I'm gonna say prison for poisoning customers. They do not look like the best put together group of people. Though I've always loved this dude's style. Like that, he's definitely the most stylish of the movie villains. Like he looks like, if you ever watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, when Oingo Boingo draw their little comics, he looks like he'd be one of their comic characters.
You're right, he would. He totally would. Super 17. GT, don't care.
Yeah, GT don't care.
Okay. Tell me about this koala guy. Make a case for the koala guy. Or you saving him for later? He's
like one of Frieza's minions in the Frieza movie, and like the adaptation of the Frieza movie that became like a season of Dragon Ball Super. He, I believe, is the guy that brings Lord Frieza back by collecting all the Dragon Balls. So he's very dedicated. He's kind of the person who reins Frieza in when Frieza's kind of like getting super hyped up over his revenge shit. So I think I would put him right next to the blue woman. Is that they're the only two people I've ever seen like kind of rein Frieza in. To be like, dude, you're going a little too crazy. You gotta reel it in, my man. And so I'd say they'd probably run a good pizza place. Tien and Chaozu's mentor, Master Crane. I mean, he's not really good. Like, he loses his only two students. They kind of bounce on him. He's bad at his job. So I'm gonna say closed, right?
Closed. Yeah, closed.
Okay, we're getting down to the debatable ones. I can't tell if these are just guys that Kid Goku fights GT or they're just Dragon Ball like original scrubs I forgot.
I think they're GT characters, like the dragons that they fight at the end of GT.
That's true. Yeah. When the balls become evil and the balls are inert. As childish as it is, it's still funny to me. As childish as it is, the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life, I've never laughed louder at this, is when the American voice actor for Krillin would prank phone call people as Krillin. It's one of the fun. Have you ever heard that? It is so funny. It was after they wrote the line Mondo. This is Mondo, cool. And then Vegeta goes, yes, boy. Cool. You hear, hey Terry, yeah, who's this? Terry, it's Krillin. And you just hear the guy start laughing maniacally. He's like, hey, it's Krillin, man. we gotta talk about this Mondo cool stuff. I've read a lot of your dialogue, but Mondo cool, Terry, it's not very Mondo cool. I don't know. I love when voice actors call people as their characters. Apparently, Clancy Brown, the fabulous actor, he's one of my favorite like character actors, like a guy who just shows up at a movie and like, oh my God, Clancy Brown. Clancy Brown plays Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob. And according to Tom Kenny, he will call him up at 3 a.m. and just say the foulest shit as Mr. Krabs. Like, SpongeBob, you little dick. You gotta get your fucking ass to the Krusty Krab or we're gonna claw. It'll be like, Clancy, it's 3 a.m. It's like, you were in Shawshank Redemption. Why are you doing this?
You were the Kurgan. Why are you doing this?
It's better to fade out. Wait, it's better to
burn up than fade away.
Fade away. Ah. I'd give anything to be friends with the Kurgan. Movie watching night. We gotta watch Buckaroo Banzai. His Ventures Across the Eighth Dimension sometimes as a group.
I've never seen it and I've always wanted to.
It's so okay. Our first movie night, if we don't watch The Wrestler from 1974, we're gonna watch that as a group. You have to, man. It's so good. It is so cheesy. It's Peter Weller's best role, even better than RoboCop. This is alternate dimension Frieza. He's like from an alternate reality. I think his name's like Chiller or something. Basically, he's Frieza if Frieza pretended to be a good guy. He's actually really interesting because like they meet this little boy Frieza. And he's all like, oh, I'm just a quaint little man. I'm not Frost. Okay, for all his name is Frost. I said Chiller. That's the old arcade game. An old arcade light gun game. I'm Chiller. I'm Miller's High Life. Keep What killed Goku? What killed the dinosaurs? Goku, you are banned from Fairy World. It's in the room. Goku, you cannot use the Dragon Balls to wish summer vacation never ends. It's in the rules.
Get out of Namek.
No. You're bad. I'm imagining fucking Poir, but she talks like Wanda now. Oh, Yamcha. I don't like the look of this Piccolo character.
Put the Senzu down now.
No. Vegeta, who is your daddy and what does he do? Okay, so Frost, his whole thing is like, he's like Frieza if he was more of a duplicitous dick who pretended to be a femboy to get out of trouble.
Okay.
He's like, oh no, I'm not a bad guy. I'm really nice. And Goku's like, no, you're a bad. I can tell you're a piece of shit. And they kind of toy the idea of like, hey, what if Frieza was actually a good person? Like he's from an alternate reality, so he doesn't have to exactly be like Frieza. And then he's fighting in a tournament and he's poisoning people. So you know what? He's poisoning people intentionally. So, in fact, I'm pretty sure that's what gets him disqualified from the tournament.
Oh, that's so funny.
This is a guy who, like, in a flashback sequence, fights the first Super Saiyan.
I think he's the guy who fights Bardock, who turns into the first Super Saiyan.
Yeah, so I mean, he runs an entire empire.
He does.
But does he run it well, is the question. He looks like a little shit.
Yeah. Look, everyone's making fun of him behind his back.
You know what? Closed. He's a little shit. Fuck him.
Yeah, fuck him.
We're getting down to the 4 people I want to talk about the most. Okay. Easiest one. Bibbidi. We put Bobbidi pretty low, if I remember. I think Bobbidi wasn't closed. Yeah, Bobbidi was our second closed. Because he brought forth... Bibbidi is just reckless.
He is, yeah.
Like, his own creation fucking kills him because he's like, I'm going to bring this ancient demon back with no contingency, no backup. Just, he makes the devil his henchman. He makes... managerial skills are the worst with this dude. Because every single one of his henchmen who doesn't die instantly betrays him. He gets betrayed twice, like back to back. Because Majin Vegeta's like, hey, by the way, your stupid Majin thing doesn't fucking work on me. He's like, what? And then Majin Bui's like, I don't like you. Die. He yells at his employees. He bosses people around. This guy's enclosed, definitely.
Closed,
or do we
closed.
Yeah, he's enclosed. Cooler. The cooler Frieza. He wasn't Daddy's favorite for a reason.
No. Yeah.
For some reason, he likes to act like he's better than Frieza, but why wasn't he in charge of the Empire?
Okay, so I'm going to make an argument for Cooler here, because if you're not the most preferred child in the family, that puts a chip on your shoulder. A chip on your shoulder that would motivate you. So
he's got that grind set.
Yeah, the grind set. And he's good with his teammates. He's good with his team.
Okay. Do you think he's good enough? Do you think he's good enough to be? He has Street Fighter 2 up in this bitch.
See, I think Cooler's overconfident. That's his downfall. Like he thinks he believes his own hype too much. So I think
he doesn't
because
need
of
Street
that,
Fighter 2.
No. I got Soul Calibur.
Oh, see, that would make me like him more.
Yeah, I just thought about that. I was like, no, what's a shittier game? No, I got Area 51.
Okay.
I don't need Street Fighter.
Our top two debatable ones, Frieza. Do you think he goes below his brother because he's had everything handed to him? He's a Nepo baby.
Total Nepo baby, yeah.
Total Nepo baby. I say empty counters, dirty tables. I think he's that low. He's not as bad as King Cold. King Cold just would not give a shit. But he's not that much further than his dad.
I feel like he cares too much, but like in the negative, where it's like he takes the job too seriously.
I think he treats his employees like shit.
Yeah.
He's too self-absorbed. He doesn't care about the customers. I think, yeah, empty. Now, Cell.
Okay.
On the one hand, genocidal maniac. I don't think he can help himself when he comes to killing people. But on the other hand, hyper competitive.
Yeah. Get that dog in him.
Also, we have at least 3 people that he has the DNA of.
You know what? They got Street Fighter 2 up on this bitch.
I think originally I was going to put him at the very bottom. I was going to put him intentionally poison customers, but I think I run the perfect pizza place.
He'd want it to be perfect, exactly.
He'd want to be perfect.
He would have that.
It's not just a buffet. It's a perfect buffet that serves perfect proportions at a perfect price.
Also, I would make the argument that he would absorb all of his coworkers. Therefore, he's got all of their talents and techniques. So he has all their techniques better than they can do it. He can do his job better than the other people can. So for that reason, he's got to be Street Fighter 2 up on this bitch.
I think Cell would have the best pizza place because
he would.
It's his prerogative. The moment he found out that Capsule Corp had a pizza place, he would do everything in his power to destroy it. He'd be like, I have to be better than Capsule Corp pizza. And I'll do it by stealing the Krabby Patty secret formula. Karen, my computer, why? Oh, well, there we go. Our best pizza man is Cell.
All right. I like this.
Who's the dirt worst out of poisoning people intentionally? I
honestly
think
Broly is literally poison.
That's true.
I just thought about that.
Bio Broly, he's in virtue, he's in doesn't wash hands because he can't wash hands. I would say both Brawlies, other than recent Brawly, I would trust the least. He's not washing his hands, so you're eating at a fucking nuclear waste site. He straight up is not smart enough to use the oven, and if your baby's crying, he'll kill your baby. Even if you tell him, if you say, Brawly, you have 2 priors, they're going to put you in prison for life. It'll be like, I'm killing that baby. Okay, well, Andos, thank you. I'll give the people one more time where they could catch you on YouTube And what's one video? Give me one video above all else they should check out.
So I definitely recommend my Yuki Ishikawa versus Daisuke Ikeda video. It's probably the hardest I've ever gone on a single video essay, so much so that I haven't done one since. But yeah, I feel like that's the most passionate like version of myself in terms of making videos that I think like the best representation of who I am in terms of like how I make videos. So definitely check that one out. I would also say my Vader Takada video was up there too. And just for shits and giggles, maybe the Pokotan video that I do.
Yeah, that was like your coming out party to the world. Like everyone kind of went crazy for that Pokotan video.
I still don't get how it did the numbers it did.
I think you just had
Bad
a lot of
video.
cool people, a lot of cool people behind you, and you were talking about something people cared about, like DDT. DDT's kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if it's just because of people like Joseph or other like wrestling journalists and stuff, but I really feel like DDT is kind of like becoming a hip thing again to talk about. And like you kind of like talked about something that I would imagine like a lot of people watched your video, you know, because they're interested in wrestling. But I'd assume like even people who don't like wrestling so much want to see a cute mascot fight in a wrestling ring, you know? But I think the important thing is like you kept up that quality and you kept improving, and like you didn't like double down and say, oh, I need to make more mascot, you know? It wasn't like the next video was the giant, what is it, Adaran's panda or whatever it's called. Like you didn't do like a deep dive on him. Panda. Like you've started talking about like matches and stuff like that you're super duper passionate about. Like the Takeda versus Vader thing was fabulous. I watched that, and it's like a fabulous look at like these two like legendary wrestlers and their trilogy of matches they have, and you actually go down like into like a really deep dive about the motivations behind each character and laying out each match and how the storytelling of the match goes, which I think is when wrestling journalists are at their best, or wrestling critics I should say, because journalists calling someone a wrestling journalist is almost an insult these days, because there's so much heat ever for like last 2 years. There's been so much heat on wrestling journalists. You're more of a wrestling critic. You look at it as an art form and deconstruct it as if it was an art form.
Yeah, and I would say because of to bounce off of that, the Akira Ishikawa video I really loved making, because the more I found out about it, the more you realize that like it's not just two best friends showing each other that they love wrestling more than anything else. It's like being able to find like camaraderie and like comfortability and like doing the wrestling that they do, like beyond like words or like dialogue. It's pure emotions and pure physicality, telling the story that goes like 30 years now, that I found so fascinating.
Yeah. Like back to the Pokotan thing. If you guys have never watched Andos's video, the Pokotan video is a really good video. But I will say you've grown a lot as a writer. You know, but I mean, the Pokotan thing doesn't really have that much room for growth. It was something that just kind of just happened. It was like a really easy to tell story, but I like that you challenged yourself as a writer and a storyteller to then it's like, okay, well, I cover this one little brief moment in time in wrestling. Now, you know, here's, like you just said, 30 years of history. You know,
I think a lot of that kind of came from the fact that I feel like Western fans, I'll just say it, WWE fans have this perception of storytelling in wrestling where it's like, oh, the storytelling comes from promos, it comes from segments, it comes from this, and this, when in reality, the storytelling is the match, right? Like the mannerisms, the emotions, and like the physicality tells the story. Like it tells the story of struggle, of desperation, of overcoming great odds that goes far beyond just like two people in a ring talking into a mic. And I wanted my videos to represent that.
I'm gonna be a little self-indulgent here. I'm gonna quote myself. In the Kinnikuman video that I'm working on, and I feel like I'm in a safe space because this is my channel. If I was on your channel, you were streaming, I would not dropping the Kinnikuman video so often. I feel like my fans expect me to talk about it because they gave me $1,000 to make it, and there's an expectation that I should be working on it. Like literally, it was the #1 goal. Unlike my fundraising stream to buy my new computer, I was like, if I hit $1,300, I will make the Kinnikuman video finally that I've been talking about for years. In it, I try to explain the parallels between shonen style action anime and pro wrestling. And I need to make sure I'm not accidentally quoting Joseph Monticello here, because it sounds like something he might have said. You ever get that where you write a line that you think's really good and you're like, shit, did I hear that somewhere else? And I'm just, oh fuck. And then you have to go back and like search for it word by word. I do that sometimes. That's never happened. I never accidentally plagiarized someone yet, but I live in constant fear that it's going to happen because I have a horrible memory. So I could hear someone say something, but I say that where people discount shonen action anime is they think it's just fighting. It's just two people punching each other and screaming. The one guy falls, that's the end. That's the bad view people have Dragon Ball. Like you were saying earlier, oh, you still read Dragon Ball? There's no political intrigue in Dragon Ball. There's no romance in Dragon Ball. There's no subterfuge. There's no betrayal. It's just people punching and screaming. And it's like the fight is the story. How the stages of the fight, how it evolves, what happens, the feeling each other out process, the reveal of different powers and what those powers do. I think of all the writers in anime, Araki is probably the best when it comes to that in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, because like his characters have magic powers and they go into like, you have to understand human anatomy. You have to understand microbiology. You have to understand quantum mechanics. You have to understand art history to understand some of Araki's fights, because there's like the way his stands work draw on all these different like genius level intellect shit, you know, where a character can't just fire a bullet. He has to explain to the audience, well, because the bullet was firing at this trajectory at this speed and the train was passing at this speed, this thing happened. And that's kind of how fights in like the good anime start. They're not just two guys hitting each other. My power's more than your power. There's always something hidden, something, little traps they set that then are sprung on the other person, or things that are revealed, this one-upsmanship. So the fight is the story. Everything that happens outside of the fight is lore. And I feel the same way with wrestling. The storylines for the best matches, like you said, are told in ring. You know, the lockup, the feeling each other out, the heat segments, the control segments, the callbacks to previous matches, things like that. Totally, you can watch a match without seeing a promo or seeing a video package, and if the story's told in such the in-ring story, you'll still get something out of it. Only in really sloppy matches between two ex-bodybuilders who didn't grow up watching wrestling are you going to see matches where guy hits another guy hits the other guy, boom, 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 bam, 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 you fall down, I pin, you know? Like recently, I think one of my favorite matches I saw was in AEW, and it was Mox versus Tomohiro Ishii.
Great match.
WWE fans were complaining because, we'll say it, we can be a little tribalist towards the end here. There's a difference between people who are fans of wrestling who watch WWE and people who are fans of the product of WWE. People who are just only obsessed with WWE as a brand. The kind of people who jump in your mentions and try to convince you this wrestler's the best wrestler because they made the most money. Those types of people. Oh my
God, I cannot stand those people.
Al Snow-pilled people. I hate those fuckers.
Yeah. Fuck.
They didn't get it. They're like, it's two lazy, out of shape guys breathing hard. Why do I care? And it's like, they're breathing hard because each man has thrown everything he's had at the other guy, and the other guy won't go down. And because they're both so stubborn, they won't let themselves fall down. So they are willing to be dying on their feet, just slapping each other. And they're not even doing big impressive moves anymore. They're doing the most amateur, like, first day of wrestling, like, move, you know? Just, I'm going to hit you with a clothesline. And then you're going to hit me with a clothesline. And then I'm going to hit you with a clothesline. But it's because you've had this violent spectacle for 30 minutes before, and they've both worked themselves to that moment, that it is magic to watch.
Exactly.
That's anime. That's an anime fight where you have two characters who are drenched with sweat and they can't go anymore and they're just slapping each other. That's an anime fight. That's Dragon Ball. That's Kinnikuman. That's JoJo. And that's like I said, the fight is the story. Everything else is just lore to get us to the storytelling moment of that fight.
There is a fight in Yu Yu Hakusho. It's Dark Tournament arc where where Yusuke fights a guy. There's like a Mohawk guy. I forget his name, but like throughout the fight, like he earns respect from him, and like they end the fight with like two knives, put him on the ground, and they place their feet against each other, and they're so tired that like all they do is just throw bombs at each other.
Yes,
and like there's this mutual respect that they build between each other. It's like that's the story. The fight. That's how you tell the story through the fight, and it's so great.
In pro wrestling and in anime, you can have two people that fucking hate each other's guts. They go out and they have a bloody fist fight, and by the end of it, they are now best friends. That is something that happens in anime and pro wrestling, where two guys like Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson are now buddies. You know, like I call him a bum. He's a loser. And then it's like Eddie beats the shit out of him. He's like, man, he's really good.
I always knew he was that good.
Exactly. And so like I'm glad you brought that up, because I try to emphasize that in the Kinnikuman script I'm writing right now, is that's why Kinnikuman, in my opinion, is such a great anime, is because it gets pro wrestling storytelling in the best ways that both pro wrestling and anime can be, where you can just watch the match and watch it unfold and see the little things that happen. And that's the thing I think that, you know, anime and pro wrestling share, is that you can tell a story through violence.
Exactly.
And it's not like Game of Thrones, where it's like, oh, this character is going to die, and what are the political ramifications of that? Like the violence is the catharsis to the buildup of the story. It's the payoff to the whatever. Whereas the fight is the story in battle anime. Everything's been leading up to this fight. That is the cathartic moment. And that is the payoff. It's everything. And to bring it back to Toriyama, I think that's what Toriyama was best at. Toriyama was best at giving us a villain. Maybe their motivations were simple. They weren't the most complex characters. There wasn't a lot of political intrigue. There wasn't a lot of backstabbing and double dealing. Their secrets behind them maybe weren't the biggest like reveals. What Toriyama was great was giving us a conflict to build towards, and then having that conflict pay out in a few issues of a manga, or in the case of Frieza, like 20 episodes of an anime. And the rising and falling actions, the expectations of what was going to happen and what each character's capable of, were captivating. And without Toriyama, you would not have Luffy versus Kaido. You would not have Naruto having to fight Sasuke. You wouldn't have so much of this shit. And if we did, we wouldn't care as much, especially Westerners. And that's, and you know, and look at what we did. We made a whole list of all these dumb characters and how they'd work in a Pizza Hut. And we had justifications for all of them. And all of our justifications come from their fights, you know, or just who the character was. People want to point at Toriyama and say his characters don't have a lot of depth. And maybe they don't have a lot of depth in their lore. Maybe they don't have a lot of depth on paper, but they have a lot of depth in characterization. You kind of know where you stand with each one of these guys. And you can tell them apart. You could, you know, it's not like the different monster of the week where they're all just giant meaty punching bags. They're all great in their own little ways. Some of them are a little scrimblo bimblo, like Goldo over here, or Bibadi. They're little creatures, little nasty men. The nastiest little fucked up guys. Some of them are big hulking meatheads, sure, but some of them are like Cell, where they're like a super arrogant, driven character who is the way he is because he's basically just a clone of the negative aspects of people emotionally. You know, you have Majin Buu, where he could be a good guy if he just had one friend tell him, hey, knock it off. You know? Anyway, Andos, thank you so much for being here. Sorry I went on a tangent about the stupid Kinekumon video, but I think I was telling you before the script, you have to stay like focused on that project if you ever want it done. So I know you're working on something big. I can't wait to see it. I'm going to be tweeting it out when it's done. Everyone, thank you for watching. I don't know if I'm going to be streaming Saturday. I probably will. Maybe more of that pizza game because now I got pizza on the brain.
Hungry for pizza all of a sudden.
I'm hungry for pizza. Just as long as if I see Cell Jr. in the parking lot, I'm going home.
As long as Cell Jr. washes his hands.
Hey, you little blue guy, wash your damn hands.
You're fired.
Oh man.
Right.
Okay,
Chris, thank you so very much for having me on.
Thank you. We'll do this again sometime. And like I said, we're gonna watch Buckaroo Banzai. Good night, everybody.